It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on a Monday afternoon live from our Family Leisure Studios, and we've got a ton to get to today. Brett, 3 hours is really not enough time for everything that we could talk about this afternoon with a lot going on. But first, before we get into anything, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Bryant. My voice is a little bit gone, because after that game Saturday, I ran down the runway just screaming, so almost lost it totally. But you're right. This is just a really fun week to do. I don't know a week that's not fun to do this.
Right.
But this is one of those really special ones tonight with the Tigers, the Grizzlies off the schneid, all the college football. And what are the Cubs thinking?
Oh, man, out of nowhere, just coming off the top rope, hiring Craig Counsell. And it was actually funny, the news broke right during, I guess, towards the end of Johnny Radio's show. And so he's in here, and he gets the notification from ESPN saying Craig Counsell has officially been named the head coach of the Chicago Cubs. And he goes, wow, the Cubs just hired Craig Counsell. What do you think about that? And I said, well, I hate the Cubs and I hate the Brewers, so I guess I hate the hire because, I'm not a fan of either of the teams.
First thing I thought when I saw it, I said, okay, well, wow. What about David Ross?
Yeah, good question. And funny enough, me and Zach were just having a conversation about David Ross earlier because I think the Guardians hired a former player. And so we were talking about David
Steve
Ross.
Orr.
Yeah, and then that happened out of nowhere. So it was very surprising, and for Craig Counsell especially because the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, there's been a lot of talk about Craig Counsell interviewing and being a very strong candidate to get the job in New York with the Mets. And I even saw reports after he accepted the job with the Cubs that said the Mets tried very hard to get him to be their next manager, and it was just the Cubs won him. So very, very interesting.
He had great options out there, and I was afraid. I didn't think it was going to do that. I thought it would just put him maybe on notice, like a lot of people I think will be on notice for next year. Ollie Marmol certainly included.
Yeah.
On Memorial Day, I don't even know how many games they play by then, but don't be 20-40.
Yeah, no, I very well could.
For David Ross. I thought the end of the year imperiled him to be on blast for that. I didn't see this coming at all.
No, I didn't, and I remember we had those conversations.
How fair it is.
It's a good question, especially for a former player. I mean,
Life ain't fair.
You'd think it's not fair.
Not just any former player.
A World Series
beloved
champ.
Cubby for life.
He
may have had 300 at-bats with them ever.
Well, and despite what his stats may say that postseason, he's the reason they won the World Series. I mean,
well, I thought it was Schwartz.
Well, it's everyone. You can make that argument for everyone. I've heard it for literally every single player on that team.
I thought it was
They're
Chapman.
the reason. Exactly. They're the reason they won the World Series.
I thought it was Joe Madden.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the first of like 19 they would have won by now.
Chris Bryant. I could have sworn it was Chris Bryant. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you could go through, and I've heard it for everyone. They sign somewhere or something happens and goes, well, they were the reason that the Cubs won the World Series, and so this is a great pickup for X team. Rizzo, that's a great one. Yeah, Rizzo, exactly. When the Yankees picked him up, they're like, oh, World Series winner. He's the heart and soul reason Cubs won the World Series. Yeah, so it's every single player. But no, I thought that was an interesting move this morning, and you're right. I mean, I remember us having those conversations back towards the end of the season for the Cubs, and you made that point of, things could get ugly next season.
Was epic.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a fine chapter of Cubbian work.
Yeah, no, it really was. And I remember us coming in here going, oh, well, I mean, I don't know how bad I feel. I feel kind of bad for him. But at the end of the day,
I didn't feel bad at all.
It is the Cubs. Well, I guess that was just me. I mean, it was like, man, I can't believe a team is doing this. But then I'd go, wait, it's the Cubs. Who cares? So, but no, that was, I didn't think we would get that type of baseball news on Monday, November 6th. But it was surprising.
I do like the value that the Cubs are placing in the field manager. I just think they've made the wrong bet on the guy.
Yeah, no, I
You
think
talking about
you're
somebody
right.
who can do collapses?
Really? I mean, that's kind of what I said when I saw the movie, especially even with the Mets, kind of him being a strong candidate for them is I just, he's fine, he's okay, but he's not anything extraordinary that I would go out and, throw a massive salary at him.
First thing I asked you today, and I love the zeal and the zest. I could feel it in you.
Okay.
I said, you going to the Tigers game tonight? And you said, heck yeah, I'm going.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So glad you are, Brian.
Yep, me, Connor, and one of my buddies. We're
Good
going
deal.
down there after we get done here, and we'll take in some Tiger action. It should be a good night. I mean, if those exhibition games mean anything about what this Tiger team could be, I think we're all in for a really good treat this year.
We're always excited on opening night for the Memphis Tigers.
Absolutely.
But this one stands apart.
Sure, absolutely. And I think, the additions they've made, I mean, I always say it, and I'm going to continue to say it, but a team that you're returning now, especially that it's official that DeAndre won't be back, which that news came down on Friday. Two returning players from last year's team, Jaden Hardaway, the son of Penny Hardaway, and Malcolm Dandridge, who has been with Coach Hardaway for a really, really long time. And so it's a lot of new faces, but it's a lot of experienced faces and guys that have been around this game at a high level and has been kind of the go-to guy at their school. I saw a tweet earlier today, I think it was John Rothstein that tweeted it out, talking about this Tiger team and how the entire projected starting lineup is transfers and their ages, and the Tigers have an average age of, I think, a little over 23 point something years old. And pointing out the age, you want to be old, and there were people in the comments that were saying, "Oh man, these guys are old. Go get a job, yada yada." Which 23 is not that old.
Older than the Pistons.
Older than the Pistons. There, I saw a list about 4 or 5 NBA teams that they would be considered older than. But I do think, like you said, Brett, in this day and age of college basketball, older is better. And I think you're going to hear a lot of people talk about this team being old. We got it last year with DeAndre, but I don't think anybody's saying it as a bad thing, because I think age, you're hearing a lot of coaches now saying, we want to get older. We want to go hit the transfer portal and get these older guys. That's how you win basketball games. So I think it's huge for the Tigers to have this much experience in age on this team. I think it's going to pay off for them in a big way.
Help me with my timeline.
Okay.
2018, 18-19, well, it was opening night of Penny Hardaway as Tigers basketball coach. So it was very anticipated. I don't think many people expected NCAA tournament run or success that year. The next year, 1920, that was Wiseman and crew, and that was fun for about 5 days.
Yes.
2021, that was Duran, Bates, et al., right?
Yes.
21-22
was, wait, no. We got our timeline messed up.
I lost the year.
We messed up the timeline.
We did. My point being, every one of these have been very anticipated and exciting around Tiger basketball, except last year. Just kind of eased up on us.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, I think that team was a team that was kind of like this one, where you had a lot of transfers come in, and you had Kendrick Davis, who was one of the top transfers in the country before he came to Memphis. But I think, last year, I think you saw Penny start what we're now seeing of kind of the less smoke and more let's show it on the court. And so I like that approach a lot more than all the smoke that we saw his first couple of years here. And so I think that's what it was, and maybe that buildup just wasn't as much there.
And tonight's game against Jackson State, and then it will really build to Friday night's first big road test against a team that won an NCAA tournament game last year. And really, Mizzou should have gone to the Sweet 16. They just gave away that second-round game. So, top flight opponent, and I've said it from day one when we saw the schedule. Tiger fans, Friday night in Columbia. Big Orange fans, Friday night in Columbia. let's play nice together.
Play nice. There's going to be a lot of hotel rooms, I'm sure, a lot of hotels that have
Harpo's
Tennessee fans and Memphis
could be
fans.
the Maginot Line, couldn't it?
Oh, man, it really could. But, no, I mean, this is we've talked, all offseason about this non-conference schedule, and Coach Hardaway even talked about it after one of the exhibitions about this is kind of the season. We've got to make up a lot of ground. We've got to build a lot for that resume during this non-conference slate. And so you're right. It starts on Friday. And I'll keep saying it. I think this Jackson State game is a great game to have getting ready for that Missouri game because this is a Jackson State team projected to win the SWAC. I think this is going to be a good team. I think they're going to be athletic and physical against you. And so it should be a good game to kind of get those first game jitters if you're still trying to work out some of those rosters and connections with one another because like we've been saying, all of these guys are transfers. All these guys are still fairly new to each other. So get all that out of the way so then Missouri on Friday, you can be ready to go and try to pick up a huge road win against, I think, a team that's going to be really good in the SEC this year.
Prairie View already in the books with a win this afternoon over Kansas Christian.
There's been a couple in the books I was watching earlier. North America versus
Steve Austin.
Yes, Stephen F. Austin. That was going on earlier.
I'm cheating.
And then Spalding and IUPUI started the day for
Throw
us.
the record books out.
Really. Tell me everything you know about Spalding.
I can't tell you anything about Ooey Pooey.
Not very good.
At the bottom of this hour, the first real lined game.
Yep.
A game that's got a point spread with it. Oregon 6.5 on True TV. I got to get on the search for True TV here in a second against Georgia.
That's right, and that line has been moving all day, Brett. I mean, I saw it this morning at about 4.5, now all the way up to 6.5.
I think 246 on direct.
Oh, let's see. They're doing a post game show right now. They have
Boom! I'm there.
Wow,
USC Ohio State.
That's right.
Women's game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good game earlier. USC won a upset for the Trojans, but I think that line got all the way up to 7 at one point, and then now back down to 6.5. So I mean, a lot of people on Oregon in that one, including myself.
Brian, please tell me you have no action tonight on Tennessee Tech getting 32.5 against UT.
Well, Brett, let me look at my spreadsheet real quick. No, we do not. No, we're gonna pass on that game
That's good.
tonight. Let's see.
That was
oddest game.
Tennessee Tech and Tennessee is a cry for help.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out maybe the strangest game I may or may not bet tonight.
Duquesne and Cleveland State.
Can you give me a time for that game?
6 o'clock Central Time.
Okay, 6 o'clock Central. I do
True
not
or false?
have anything on
True
that.
or false? Duquesne has played in a Final Four. True or false?
True.
Very true.
Yeah, how about
Very
that?
true.
That's
Very
a
good.
Great
Brian.
start to the
Man, you
college
are off to a good
basketball
start.
season. Wow,
That's great.
What a day. Let's see. Coppin State, Virginia Tech. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You did?
Oh yeah, we've got over 139.5. Anybody out there want a free play?
Notre Dame 9.5 at home against Niagara.
That's right. We got something on that too. I just saw that.
True or false? Notre Dame ever been to a Final Four?
False.
That's true.
Rats.
78 in St. Louis.
That's okay. Taking the over in that one as well.
Lost on Saturday to Duke and lost in the consolation game to the Razorbacks.
I love Brett. Nothing more I love than hearing about old consolation games in the NCAA tournament.
We had a listening party, like a 5 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, to listen to the Razorbacks in the consolation game against Notre Dame.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. A listening party. That's great. But no, I mean a lot of games tonight. But I know, and I'm sure he'll say it again today when we talk to him. David Cobb last week said kind of a slow night in college basketball when you look at some of these matchups. And I agree. I get excited for a lot of these games.
I am too.
But I think
I'm excited for everything at FedEx Forum.
Yeah, I would like to see college basketball, though, maybe put in, we got the Champions Classic coming up next week. Let's start off with a bang. Let's get those type of events started day one, maybe first couple of days of the season, and really get people excited for the start of the season, because I don't know how many people are really getting up for some of the games. Samford at Purdue tonight on Big Ten Network. I just don't know.
Did I see that at 19.5?
19.5, that is correct.
Thought I did.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I did.
Yeah, well, you're all over it, Brett. You know the lines today.
See, I think if you bet on it, you have to be able to name at least 2 players on the team getting 19.5.
Yeah, I think so.
That should be a rule.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Probably just a little guide to go by.
Maybe. So you at least are familiar with something going into the game. But
always helps to know the players.
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe there's a couple of games tonight I'm betting on that I don't know anybody. Couldn't name a single thing.
That's
about
how you learn.
That's how you learn. Exactly, Brett. That's what I always tell people. That's what these first couple days are about.
That's right.
We're just warming up. We're just trying to, trying to get loose.
2 big brawling heavyweight boxers. They're not out there flailing away in the first round. It's just kind of a pick your spot time.
That's right. So it's going to be a fun night at FedEx Forum.
We're going to flail away with Tiger Bankroll,
though. Coming up at the end of this hour, we're going to get to some Tiger Bankroll. And, I think I know what side I'm going. Still thinking a little bit. Johnny Hill, who Brett I think will be in the big chair tomorrow.
Good deal.
He's going to be a part of this when we make picks. So I was trying to explain everything to him before the show started, get him up to date so he could start kind of thinking about which way he wanted to go when we get to Tiger Bankroll. But
we had to rein it in a little bit. Johnny wanted to come out with a little bit of a blast.
Look, I love somebody who wants to get out there and a high dive, if you will, a big splash to the game.
New man like that, can we?
No. Now, if I was a terrible person, which some people claim I am, I would have been like, oh yeah, $100. That's a great way to start it off.
500, why not?
Yeah, 500, maybe a whole 1,000. You know
I don't want to win like that.
How much you'd be up by if you just win a whole 1,000
I want to
in the
beat
first
both
game.
of them, but I don't want to win like that.
I'm trying to defend my championship.
Speaking of winning like that, on Friday, and we clarified it.
Yeah.
Both Alan Bell and Bruce Marshall both had Ole Miss.
That's right.
And it had been updated to 2.5.
Yep.
When we got to First National Bank Friday football forecast,
right.
and I told you we were going to keep it at 3.5 because that's what I sent you on Wednesday night. And for a lot of different reasons, we're not going to get into changing it.
Right.
And I took Ole Miss, and you took A&M, and you said Ole Miss wins, A&M covers 38-35 Rebels.
Yep, and that was the score. So
when I was running down the runway back to the locker room screaming, I was thinking of you.
Brett,
I thought that incredible pick.
Brett, I'll never do that again in my life. So glad it happened on Friday. And, hey, I hope somebody out there was able to get Texas A&M plus 3.5, and then Ole Miss minus 2.5. What a day you would have had.
The middle.
If you had done that. I mean, what a middle that would have been.
They call that arbitraging on Wall Street.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Also, Brett, I don't know if you recall this, but I made a switch. I changed my lock for college football Friday before we made our picks, and you said because you switched this, Fresno State is going to cover, because that was my original one. And sure enough, Charlotte, who I switched it to, a fantastic game, a crazy game for Charlotte. They get the win in overtime, and Fresno State, they covered.
And you asked me if you could, and I said, of course you can. I said, I'm going to do this, but I know how it's going to play out.
Yep, and I knew how it was going to play out too, and I just went with it, and, it happens. But we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk a ton of college football today after another weekend in the book. So let me give you today's rundown before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Jonah Dillon, the Tiger football beat writer at the Commercial Appeal, will join us. We'll talk about that Tiger football game on Saturday, a win over USF, points galore in that game. Brett, little sidebar, since we've been talking so much wagering talk to start the show. With about 2 minutes left in the first half, I got on to my preferred sports book, and the total for the Memphis game had jumped all the way up to 92.5. I took the over. We still got there in the fourth quarter with about 5 minutes left. A lot of points in this game for the Tigers, but they get a win. So Jonah Dillon, he'll join us in our next segment.
And remember, Friday, Bruce liked it and said it was one of the overs he's liked of all time.
Oh, yeah. And he was of
all time.
Almost got there in the first half.
Tiger basketball tonight scores more or less than Tiger football did Saturday. More or less.
Oh, man. 59 points for the Tigers against South Florida. I'm going to say more, but just slightly. Just slightly more.
I mean, like 63 or 64.
Yes. It's not going to be much more. I'm not thinking anywhere in the 70s. I think you're right. It will be in the 60s somewhere. But that'll be fun to keep up with tonight during the game. 3:45, we're going to get to our Tiger bankroll. We'll also preview tonight's game between the Tigers and Jackson State. We'll do that at the end of this hour. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us to talk college football and college basketball. At 4:30, we'll get to our Sissy's Log Cabin, look back at the weekend in the SEC. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer at the Commercial Appeal, will join us. The Grizzlies in the win column last night with a win in their second game against the Portland Trail Blazers. So I've talked about what happened over the weekend for the Grizzlies and where they stand now going into this week and coming back home for a couple of home games. We'll do that at 5 with DeMichael. 5:30, we'll get to our Roost Chris Monday Night Football pick and preview. We've also got to do our Big Four quarterbacks combined for both the Jets and the Chargers. And then at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure studios where family and fun come together. The Overstock Sale. Family Leisure needs your help to clear out their overstock inventory. Select patio sets up to 50% off. Play gyms under $2,000. Extended sale pricing on all in-stock hot tubs and swim spas. Their winter pool closing items are now up to 30% off. Pool tables and game room items up to $700 off their in-stock items. They've also got saunas, massage chairs, arcades, and theater seating, all with free delivery, and that special financing, it's still available, but only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Bryant. I'm Brett. Johnny Hill with us as well. We're Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock, 901-360-8255. To text or call this hour of our show, brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. The one and only Lexus dealership in town with great offers on the remaining 2023s and all those beautiful 2024s and always special leasing options. Call Lexus of Memphis at 901-334-9673. But drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 or 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day, I've got to go to the NFL because some of these games we had yesterday were some of the most entertaining NFL games I've seen this season. Starting off with C.J. Stroud and what he did yesterday with that performance. 30 for 42, 470 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Only sacked 3 times yesterday in that game. He also ran for 10 yards. Just a fantastic game for him. I think the set the passing rookie passing yardage in a single game with 470, and also fellow rookie Tank Dell, a great game for him, 114 yards, 6 receptions, 2 touchdowns for him. Dalton Schultz, the tight end, also had 130 yards and a touchdown on 10 receptions. Noah Brown also had 153, 1 touchdown in 6 receptions. It was a back-and-forth game between Houston and Tampa Bay, and Houston was able to get the ball with about 40 seconds left. A couple of massive throws by C.J. Stroud to get them in field goal range and then to get into the end zone. And the thing was, Brett, is Houston was down their field goal kicker. They turned to a backup running back to kick field goals, to handle the kickoffs, and it was just a fun story to watch. The win made it even better. And then the other game that I just could not take my eyes off yesterday was the Vikings and the Falcons. Josh Dobbs, after being traded to the Vikings at the deadline last week, he gets called in. He was not supposed to start today. He was not supposed to play today. Jaron Hall, the rookie out of BYU, was supposed to play the entire game yesterday, but he got injured early. Josh Dobbs had to come in, and what a day he had. 20 for 30, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also led the team in rushing with 66 yards and a touchdown on 7 carries. A remarkable day by Josh Dobbs, a remarkable day by C.J. Stroud, and those two guys, they're my top story of the day. Incredible Sunday for both of those guys.
That was, and Baker Mayfield played good in that Buccaneer
He
loss
really
to
did.
Houston.
Yeah.
It was not his fault. My top story, Tigers basketball. It tips off tonight. When will it end? New conference mates, brutal non-conference slate, 6th year for Coach Penny Hardaway. Many didn't think he even wanted to coach. Well, he did. Now he's here in the 6th year. Many didn't think he would stay interested in coaching this long. He's very interested. Many thought NCAA tournament success would have already been achieved. Mm-hmm. It hadn't. So a lot wrong so far on people on things around Penny Hardaway. But here's one prediction. He's going to put a good, solid team on the court tonight. They play hard. But this is the year the NCAA tournament run is expected.
Not top story of the day.
You're absolutely right about that. For my not top story, I should have made this my top story, but I'm just now seeing it on my Twitter timeline. But the Memphis women's soccer team, they deserve a shout-out. 3-time back-to-back AAC champion. They won that yesterday with a win, and now they will host the first round of the NCAA tournament game against LSU that was just announced as that bracket was revealed just a couple of minutes ago. The Tigers will start as a 6th seed, and they will host LSU at home, which is just massive for this program. Where it's gone, the improvements they've made has just been really remarkable to watch, and now the fact that they'll be able to host an NCAA tournament game. It's just awesome to see this women's soccer team because it is one of those sports, not football, not basketball, not baseball. It doesn't get the coverage it deserves, but this soccer team has shown that they deserve that coverage. They've done a fantastic job this season, and now, like I said, we'll get to host the NCAA tournament.
My not top story, Grizzlies win. They end the winless run to start the year, now 1-6. Good win, get back home on Wednesday night against the Heat. But I'm afraid there's going to be some more losing streaks in there for this team this year.
Yeah.
We will have to watch it unfold, and we will. But I bet if there's not a 6-game win streak in there all year, and it feels like there's a bunch of 3 or 4, maybe even stretched out to 5 or 6 game losing streaks for this team. But at least it's no longer a 0 in the win column.
Yeah, absolutely. A big win for them yesterday, like you said, in Portland. They needed it. And Bismack Biyombo, oh, what a game he had in his first kind of real action with the Grizzlies. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. We need to go ahead and get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk Tiger football with Jonah Dillon.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-251-2305. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-251-2305 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-251-2305 to see if you qualify. That's 800-251-2305.
Let's head out. The theater's about to close.
Wait, what does that sign say?
Warning, watch your step.
No, next to it.
If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60. I didn't know that. Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Whether it's date night, a birthday, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris. Open in the Regalia Shopping Center at the corner of Poplar and Ridgeway. Treat yourself to one of our classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection. Then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Memphis. This is how celebrating more is done.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some Tiger football, the beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, Jonah Dillon, joins us now. Jonah, thanks so much for joining us. Another score fest on Saturday for the Tigers versus USF. What did you make of that game and just another week of a lot of points?
Yeah, it was a crazy game back and forth. Sorry, right off the bat, I got to apologize if it's loud in the background. I'm actually just walking out of the selection show party for the Memphis women's soccer team, which was just announced a few minutes ago. But anyways, it was quite a game, 59-50, and the defense has really struggled throughout the game. It was not great in that sense. But, Memphis got a win, third straight win, and they're still on track where they need to be to compete for the conference championship.
Are the problems on defense at all correctable?
I think they are. I mean, I think things were going better in the first half of the season, obviously, but in the fourth quarter of the game on Saturday, they fixed the problems, right? They got stops when they needed to. And they do force turnovers. It's just that they look kind of lost for really most of the game against the USF team that has obviously moved the ball pretty well, and they put up a lot of points. But at the same time, you'd expect Memphis to be at a higher caliber just as a team. So I think they're correctable. I think it's about putting together a complete game, which is something that they haven't really done yet. But you see it in flashes. We've seen it in flashes for really the last 3 weeks, just hasn't been put together.
Seth Hennigan left that game with an injury, was out for a series, came back, and then was out for the rest of the game after that. I think Coach Silverfield, after the game, when talking to Dave Woloshin on the radio, said that he had to take his helmet from him so that he wouldn't try to go back into the game because he was a little banged up. What did Silverfield say today on Seth Hennigan in his health going into this week?
Yeah, he said that he's day-to-day, which is, as we've talked about before, one of the usual things he says with injuries. So we're not really sure. He talked about preparing Kevin Carter, who's backup, who obviously came in on Saturday and threw a touchdown pass on his first play. So it's something that I think is going to develop as the week goes on. It looks like what happened in the game was Hennigan got injured, came off for that play you have to come out for, obviously. Mm-hmm. Carter comes in, throws the 85-yard touchdown, so they didn't have to come back out for a while until they got the ball back. And then he came back in, they went 3 and out, and there was some kind of conversation there between Seth Hennigan and Ryan Silverfield, where Seth Hennigan basically, the way that Ryan Silverfield described it was Seth Hennigan kind of told him, I'm not in a position to go back out there. And then Tevin Carter finished the game. So it's definitely a storyline we're going to have to keep watching throughout the week. We don't have a lot of clarity right now. Obviously, Tevin Carter played well on Saturday, but he's pretty untested at this level, so it's for sure something to watch.
What about Blake Watson?
Yeah, Blake Watson, he looked like he got banged up at the end of the game. Same designation from Silverfield, which is day-to-day. That'll be another one to watch. Obviously, running back depth is something that the Tigers do have. We've seen Sutton Smith play well. We've seen Brandon Thomas, especially in the past few weeks. He scored touchdowns the last 3 games. So he's obviously somebody who played a pretty big role a couple seasons ago for Memphis. So I don't think that's as big of a concern just because of what they have behind him. But obviously we know how good Blake Watson has been this season, and that would be a big loss if he can't go.
Jonah, the last 2 weeks, you've been at every play of both games. The Tigers win in Denton, Texas, 45-42, and they win at home Saturday, 59-50. In either of those games, over 8 quarters of football, did you ever think the Tigers were about to lose either or both of those games?
Yes, definitely. I mean, against North Texas, I think by the time North Texas, even before they scored that touchdown to go ahead, you could just tell it was coming. It had been coming for so long. The tide had been turning. And when they scored, it's like now you've got the ball back with 40 seconds left, and you haven't really been able to do anything offensively in the entire second half. So that was obviously an incredible touchdown drive orchestrated by Hennigan and the touchdown to Joe Skates. The Saturday game against USF, it felt a little bit eerie because they were hanging in there for so long. But I will say by the time the fourth quarter came around, like I said, the Memphis defense kind of stepped up, and it seemed like they had it under more control than they did against North Texas. But they've been for sure living on the edge for, basically the entire season, right?
They have, but they've been able to have the rabbit's foot year at 7-2, and the rest of the schedule very conducive to finishing 9-3 or 10-2 at the very, very worst. And I'm seeing teams. I think Ole Miss has been fortunate with a lot of things. I think there's something to being lucky because I know for sure in both cases, Ole Miss and Memphis, I know many times they both have been very unlucky.
Yeah, we talked about it before. Like, Memphis was 0-4 in one-score games last season, right? And so they come into this season saying, we need to find a way to win close games. Part of the thing with winning close games, obviously there's a lot of things that you could do and improve on, but there is luck to it, and there is positive regression that you would expect when you go 0-4 in close games. It's just how it works. And so some of these games, like against Navy, they had to make a defensive stop, and Navy's fourth down play comes up, half a yard short. Those are the margins. That guy gets another half yard. Who knows what conversation we're having right now, but you do expect to kind of get through some of these situations when it went so badly in those situations last year. You talk about last year at Houston, that collapsed, but an onside kick being recovered. How often is that going to happen, regardless of how good or how bad your team is, right? That's just one of those things in football. So I think it makes sense that they're doing better in those situations. At the same time, like I said, you can only survive that so many times, especially against teams that you should be beating, and it shouldn't even be close at the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Jonah Dillon, the Tiger football beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. And despite the injury, it was a really good game for Seth Hennigan. 349 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. And for the receivers, both Rock Taylor and Demir Blankenstein had over 100 yards. And for Demir Blankenstein, we've talked a lot this year about Rock Taylor. But for Blankenstein, we haven't talked much about him. His kind of receptions have varied over the season, but 6 receptions for 142 yards. How big was he on Saturday?
Yeah, he was huge. All the receivers, like you said, played really well. Demir Blankenstein is obviously a guy who we talked about last week after the North Texas game for bad reasons. He had 2 pretty big drops.
Yeah.
And we talked about Joe Skates having the drop against North Texas and then kind of making up for it with that last gasp touchdown catch, on the last drive. Demir Blankenstein kind of made up for it in the game on Saturday, right? He had that big game. You just brought off his stats. And he's always been an important part of the offense. He's that across-the-middle guy. That was the thing in the game against USF. The middle of the field was just wide open basically the entire game. And so that's where Demir Blankenstein lives. And he was available. He was right there to make those plays really throughout the game. And I think the thing about Memphis receiving core is that it could be a different guy every game. They have a lot of depth. They have a lot of guys who can make plays, and they have a lot of guys who do different things. So I think it's been really impressive to see how Seth Hennigan is thrown to a bunch of different receivers, but also you never really know which one is going to step up on a given day.
Yeah.
Jonah, I really believe, and I want to believe this. I think I may want it more than I really believe it. So anyway, I do think the more, and I don't mean literally drunk, but the more sober Tiger fans, they won during this week. They won Saturday at the stadium. Pretty good crowd, great day. I think they won out over the negativism that was really rampant early part of last week. I don't think as many people are mad over winning today as was a week ago. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think I was thinking about that after the game on Saturday. Like, if you're 7-2, and we know this team is, like you said, headed for probably 10-2 or 9-3. It's hard to complain. And even like if you think about what nationally the perception is of a team that has that record, anyone who doesn't follow the team closely, they would say, well, Memphis fans, they're having a great season. And then you might talk to some Memphis fans and they would tell you otherwise. Obviously, you have to contextualize it with what this conference looks like. Who has Memphis played and who has Memphis beat, right? Memphis has beaten all the teams it's been favored against and lost to the teams that it was an underdog against. Mm-hmm. So it's understandable. But the bottom line is we're talking right now with 3 weeks left in the season. Memphis is right in the middle of the hunt for the AAC championship. And coming into the season, that was the benchmark that a lot of people wanted to see, right? I don't know what that means with the record. Maybe you beat this team, you lose to this team. But we need to be talking about the conference championship conversation with 3 weeks left in the season, 2 weeks left in the season when SMU comes to Memphis. And right now we're doing that. So in that sense, they checked off that box, and now it's time to kind of make it pay.
Joan, it seems like these last 3 weeks we've been saying the same things about these opponents that the Tigers have played. Fun offense, fast-paced offense, but defensively really struggled. This week, kind of different. Charlotte's offense has not shown a ton this season. They've been rotating through quarterbacks all season, have had some injuries. What do you expect in this game this weekend at Charlotte?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a weird game. I think Charlotte has been going through all sorts of different things this season. Obviously, they have a first-year head coach in Biff Pogge, who has kind of an unusual background for a coach. To put it lightly, it's a pretty crazy story. But they have a lot of transfers. They've been shuffling through different players. There were some players that last week that were suspended for like not having the right attitude.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of different stuff. Now, this is the exact kind of situation where Memphis is going into Charlotte. Charlotte is, this is our Super Bowl type week for them against Memphis. And obviously, Tigers fans are looking forward to the SMU game a week later. So to me, this is kind of a classic trap game. And obviously that doesn't matter to Charlotte, and Memphis has to go take care of business. But this is exactly the kind of week where you might be thinking, okay, let's look forward to that SMU game because that's going to decide our season. And if Memphis doesn't take care of business this weekend, then that SMU game really means nothing.
Right.
Jonah, it's that weird kind of year across college football. I think the portal has created a lot of it, and you're even seeing, player discontent at a lot of places and guys checking out. It's going to be more over the next 2 weeks. A couple getting out of Dodge and ready to, start fresh somewhere. But I saw a tweet today. This is the first time since 1994 that an unranked team hadn't defeated a top 10 team or a ranked team, a top 10 team all year in college football. We just hadn't had that out of nowhere upset, but just that bubbling discontent is out there.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's been a weird year. I think the transfers, and this is the thing, I think Charlotte has more transfers than almost any team in the country except for Colorado this year. I got to check that before I do my scouting report this weekend. But especially when you have that many guys, then you're shuffling through players mid-season. Okay, we brought this guy in. We thought he was going to be, the guy at this position, but we've also got 3 other transfers. So let's give them a shot now that we lost a couple games. And that makes it harder to prepare for a team. It makes it harder to watch film. Obviously, like you said, they have multiple quarterbacks. And I think Ryan Silverfield is hoping that Charlotte is preparing for multiple Memphis quarterbacks this weekend, regardless of what Seth Hennigan's injury status ultimately is. So there's a lot of, like I said, like you just said there's a lot of weird stuff going on. It feels like any team can beat any team, even though we haven't seen it yet. And that's why this game is important, even though it feels like it's kind of a primer for the game next week.
It really does. Jonah, Richard Cross is doing the game this week, and he's done Charlotte games already this year. And we were talking today, and I asked him, I said, well, what a story with Biff Poggi. I said, Wall Street hedge funder. He said, no, not Wall Street, but hedge funder, but did it based out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and then he went to, and that's what Ryan Silverfield said. And I asked him about Biff Poggi today at the press conference, and he said, oh, you should look up his career as a businessman. It's pretty impressive.
Very.
And then obviously after, he was involved in high school coaching, and then he went to work at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh. And that's how he ended up with this job in Charlotte. So and he was credited for a lot of the stuff in the Michigan program that helped turn them around after they had that down here. So like I said, it's a crazy story. This is obviously his first year at Charlotte. And it's one of those things where he's going to do things differently, and it's going to take a couple of years for everybody to kind of see if that works or not. It's one of those things, maybe he turns around the program, maybe it turns out, okay, we need to go back to the drawing board. But that's, again, there's so much uncertainty around a team like that, and that's what makes them dangerous at this point in the season.
Well, it should be a fun game on Saturday. But, Jonah, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Have a great week, Jonah. Thank you so much. Jonah Dillon with us from the Commercial Appeal, and he will be on the road to Charlotte. I wonder if he's driving or flying. We've got directs to Charlotte, don't we?
I hope so.
I hope he's on one of those. And this is one where the Tigers take care of business and then get back home against SMU.
Yes.
And I would hope for first number being a 40,000, something like that, playing to be effectively to play to potentially be in a conference championship game. Still got to win the day after Thanksgiving against Temple, and that kick time finally announced in Philadelphia, wasn't it today, Brian?
Yes, it was. I believe 2 p.m. was the announced time. I could be wrong, though. It might have been. I saw it, and I can't remember what it was.
But it is Friday, and it is I think earlier than that day.
Let's see. I've got it pulled up right now. 11 a.m. I was way off. Both games 11 a.m. SMU and
that's going to be some busy times for Tiger Sports with the basketball tournament in the Bahamas and the football game that Friday around Thanksgiving. And around Thanksgiving, I've got your Thanksgiving plan set for you. Whole turkeys and hams, all the sides, bulk pricing. You can feed can feed as many as you want. They'll take care of it. We got 10 to 12 pounds. It feeds 8 to 10. This is all at the commissary, both locations. Let Walker Taylor and his staff do all that Thanksgiving work for you. But you got to do this. You got to get on the list now. 901-754-5540. They can feed 14 to 16. They can feed a minimum of 10 with bulk pricing. They've got everything set up for you. However you want to do it, they've got a pricing point for you: smoked turkey, homemade cornbread dressing, cranberry sauce, gravy, mashed potatoes, rolls, butter, plates, utensils. They do it all except clean up for you. They'll have it set up for you. 901-754-5540. And also around the holiday season, you're going to have a lot of people in that you don't want to eat turkey every single day. You're going to eat it a lot. You're going to eat ham a lot, but you also want some of that great barbecue at either location, the New Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. If you're craving an easier way to order, you can text Commissary right now to 33733. Dig into the ribs or shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, all the desserts, like the lemon icebox pie, the banana pudding, the strawberry cakes. 901-754-5540. But you need to call now to be on that Thanksgiving list. And if you're on the Thanksgiving list, you'll be on the December Christmas holiday list. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we got to preview tonight's game, Tigers versus Jackson State. We've also got to get to Tigers Bankroll. That's next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
I feel good shopping at DriveMax. DriveMax.
that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Genesis Diamond's first ever 3-day store-wide sale is this weekend. 3 days of mind-blowing savings, up to 35% off. Earrings, bracelets, bands, pendants, plus thousands of engagement rings, all on sale. Designer jewelry has been flown in from New York and California for this. Certified diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, and luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Don't miss the biggest and best store-wide event all year. Save 20, 30, even 35%. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. And only at Genesis Diamond. Poplar and Perkins Extended. See store for details.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, Brett, it is opening day for college basketball. We've got one game going on right now on True TV. Oregon with a 17-8 lead over Georgia in Las Vegas. But a ton of games today. I think 113 D1 versus D1 games going tonight.
Whoa.
So, a lot of action today. But Tigers are one of the teams in action tonight. One of the games going as they will host Jackson State to start the season. And outside of those 2 exhibition games, we'll really, and especially fans that weren't able to go to those exhibition games, we'll really get our first look of a lot of these transfer guys, a lot of these guys that will be a massive part of the team this year.
Sure will, and that's now it's the only way you really learn about your team is you have to learn about it. Used to, we would know every player, every hometown, and everything about them before they got here. It's hard to do that now. It's hard to do it across college basketball. I just said to you during the break, this is the week. This is the month. This might be 2 months of, oh, he's playing there,
That's right.
huh?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know he was there. Oh, yeah, I remember him at the other place.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like that in college football, but it's really like that in college basketball. And tonight for the Tigers, one of the big things, I know the margin of victory, as the late great Jack Eaton would say. The only thing that remains in doubt is the margin of the Tiger victory. They're going to win
Love
tonight.
that. Yes.
But I want to see the box score at the end of the game, see minutes played, who got the minutes, who got the shots, who got the time, because this is the sorting out that the coaching staff that they have to do. Those 2 exhibition games, they don't even matter.
No, not at all. And so I think it's going to be interesting, especially a guy like Ashton Hardaway, who got a lot of playing time in both exhibition games. Now, shot much better in that first exhibition game than he did in that second exhibition game. So how does that factor in tonight? Does he still get a lot of playing time tonight? I know they value him as a shooter. Some of those other freshmen, I think everyone was a little surprised here when they saw J.J. Taylor and Carl Scharnfant as the co-freshman of the year, preseason co-freshman of the year in the American, because I don't think anybody really thought many of the freshmen would get playing time this year, maybe one out of the group, if any. And so it will be interesting to see who gets the playing time, who's the starter. I know Coach Hardaway kind of teased after that exhibition game that he could shake up the lineup for the opening game, that he wanted more energy in that lineup.
Who's the point guard tonight? Starter.
I think Quinterly is
he healthy?
I think so. It sounds like From everything I've heard, it sounds like he's good to go. So
another thing we'll be watching, I'm not going to try to make a mountain out of a molehill with this, but I want to see sideline decorum.
Yeah.
On who's not in and not playing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's
and not just tonight, for a lot of these games.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point because we've been talking about that kind of one ball and I mean, it's hard to kind of be selfless when you're coming from most of these guys coming from places where they were the go-to guy. They were the guy that would get 20 shots a night and average 30 points a game for their team. Now they're all coming here, and so it's a little different. And you're right. I want to see how they act on the sidelines and on the court with each other, especially being so new with each other.
Because not just here, there's players. They can get out of Dodge after December tests, and this time next year be ready to be eligible for spring semester.
Yeah. So it's gonna.
I mean, there's somebody on the Tiger roster that won't be there January 10th.
I think you're right. I mean, with as much talent
and that's applicable to a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. You're going to see that a lot of places. So it's
Tiger Bankroll begins tonight, 21.5. That's what we're going off?
That's what we're going off of.
Memphis Tigers, 21.5. If people are new to this, we start with a fictional, play money of $1,000 each in the Tiger Bankroll. And we have to wager minimum 10. We won't round numbers. We don't want any $12 bets.
Right.
We want 10, 15, something like that. And if you wanted to, go all out tonight, $1,000. I wouldn't suggest it. We're not going to allow Johnny to do that. Bryant, you first. You were the king last year.
Man.
You were spectacular in this last year.
At
the end, I'm going to say 25-8 against the number at the end of last year, if that's right. If that's the total number of games played, right?
Yes, I believe so. Oh, I hate this game. I hate this line. I hate that we're taking it at 21
and a half. On opening night. You're going.
I can.
You can't go down there and be hateful.
No. I hate this game from a gambling standpoint,
I got
Brett. I'm going to have to, and I'm going to go very small on this one. I'm going to go with Jackson State here. I'm going to take them plus the 21.5. I'm only going to put 15 on it. I'm thinking this game is right around 18-19. I go back to that second exhibition game. The Tigers really started that game slow, trailed early, had to come back. Now they won by a large sum, but maybe a little different when you're playing another Division I team. I think Jackson State is going to come out ready to go. They're going to want to give their best effort against this Tiger team. So I'll take Jackson State plus the 21.5. I don't feel good about it at all. I'm trying to sell myself on it, but that's where I'm going.
Sold. What's Johnny's pick?
Johnny, come on up here. Give us your pick.
All right.
Okay, man. I got the Memphis Tigers minus 21.5. I got the Memphis Tigers winning by 25. And I also, got $20 on the game.
All right.
I just feel like, man, that the Tigers, after them two great games, man, they had in exhibition, man.
Yeah.
I just feel like they got the momentum. So I'm going with the Tigers, man.
All right.
Johnny steps out 20 on the hometown Tigers.
Johnny with a cool 20. I like it.
Got a degree in the springtime and trying to add to the bankroll in the fall with
I love it.
Johnny, I hope your mom and dad aren't mad at us for
bringing you into this.
Wagering and gambling.
Right.
It's play money. It's not real money. All right, that leaves my pick. I'm going to take Jackson State tonight as well, Bryant, plus the 21.5, and I'm going to do it for $100.
Woo! $100 game one. Good Lord. Brett, risky. That's all I'm going to say. Risky. But we got a lone wolf and Johnny going with the Tigers. We're both going Jackson State.
I hope Johnny wins.
I hope Johnny wins too, and that's why I only put $15 on it. But let's go ahead and get to a break, wrap up this hour. When we come back, we got to talk a lot of college football. Got to talk some college basketball with David Cobb from CBS Sports.
Here at Memphis Barbecue Supply, we have everything you need for your Thanksgiving feast. If you're smoking, deep frying, or putting that turkey in the oven, we got over 20 different turkey injections and brines to keep your meat juicy and moist, with brine bags and buckets, and 308 different rubs and sauces to choose from. If you're in need of fuel, Memphis Barbecue Supply carries 9 different types of wood chip, chunk, mini logs, and logs of wood, and over 4 tons of wood pellets in stock. And don't worry, we also carry thermometers, injectors, and all other sorts of gadgets that you might need to simplify your cook. And for any questions that you might have, our knowledgeable staff is always eager to help. Memphis Barbecue Supply is located at 7041 Stage Road in Memphis, or you can order online at mbbqsupply.com. Follow us on all the social media platforms for recipes, new products, and barbecue news.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-251-2305. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-251-2305 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-251-2305 to see if you qualify. That's 800-251-2305.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with two of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Fiveash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetcetera.southllc.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South.
Memphis's oldest restaurant, Coletta's, was established in 1923 to give Memphians the best Italian food possible. And I'd say they got it right. They are the creators of the barbecue pizza. It was Elvis's favorite, and I know for a fact that a large will feed one person all weekend. If you need to feed several, though, Coletta's caters any event. Choose from homemade lasagna, ravioli, Alfredo, primavera, and so many other delicious items you can't help but enjoy. Impress employees or clients and treat them to Coletta's for lunch or dinner. Plan ahead and get your holiday party booked at Coletta's. Elvis's favorite place to go eat with his buddies at the South Parkway location, and Coletta's even has an Elvis room dedicated to him. Call Coletta's on South Parkway at 948-7652 or Appling Road at 383-1122. Coletta's. It was Elvis's favorite, and it should be yours too.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting to build pretty good on 240 east from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Billmorris Parkway. Still looks good as you continue out towards Collierville. A little bit crowded right when you come off 240 onto Lamar, headed down towards Olive Branch. South of Memphis, that's still holding up at the moment on 55 southbound through South Haven. Weimer's Jewelry, they're located 7525 Highway 64. They are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb joins us now from CBS Sports, where he covers college football and college basketball. And David, I mean, where to start? I mean, so much to talk about today. Day one of college basketball. College football continues to roll right along. I'll start in college football. Why not? And talk about the weekend that we had. But before that, this Michigan story kind of took another turn as we went into the weekend Friday night, as Michigan decided to fire Stallions, the analyst that is in the middle of this Spygate situation. What did you make of that decision, and what do you think happens next for this Michigan football team?
Yeah, buckle up, because now that he's no longer on payroll and no longer bound to Michigan in any formal way, we're going to see how loyal Connor Stallions truly is to the Wolverines. Because my guy, he wrote an entire manifesto about his plan for taking over the program, and allegedly his interest in doing all this espionage for Michigan was his passion for the school and for the program. Well, how passionate and loyal is he going to be now that he's no longer employed, and now that his name has been dragged through the mud, and now that, here's the important part, Michigan is going to try and pin all of this on him and make it as though he were a rogue actor, a lone warrior, that nobody else on staff had any idea of how he was acquiring the opponent's signals. And he might get kind of tired of that, right? Like, he keeps getting pinned with all the blame here. So what is Michigan going to do to keep him quiet and to keep him from pointing the finger up higher the chain of command there at Michigan?
David, I don't know of a group, an organization that I think any more of than a United States Marine. He was a captain in military intelligence in the U.S. Marine Corps. Gomer Pyle couldn't have fumbled this bad.
No kidding. It's pretty wild, the lack of ingenuity in hiding what he was trying to do, because if his name was on Venmo payments, guys, I just read an article the other day about how you can track Venmo payments if you don't put it to private and you leave it on public, which is the default setting for Venmo. You can track the payments of anybody. In fact, people have tracked Joe Biden's Venmo payments, because if you leave it on public, and anybody can see them. And so for this guy to be transferring money, allegedly, to the people who he had going to videotape games for him illegally, I mean, that's just sloppy. You know, that is poor espionage work. And so I guess there's a difference between a Marine and a trained counterintelligence officer. And I guess Stallions lacked a little bit of training in the counterintelligence realm. And Michigan's going to pay the price for that, because he was very, very sloppy. It was not an effort to hide it, really, on his part of any significance.
Reason number 92, I'm not on the Venmo.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah, just sending people money over an app. It's kind of a strange concept to begin with, but yeah, there you go. And if
I tried to pay cash at a place Saturday night in Oxford and almost shut the whole place down. them trying to break 100.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'm almost exclusively like the tap to pay. Like, I've got my phone, I just hit the side button twice, and it's quick, it's easy. I mean, you know, maybe it's the mark of the beast, who knows? But yeah, it sure is convenient.
I had to go to a business next door, get change, and come back in and get my purchase.
That's fantastic. And, that's kind of surprising because I've noticed, it's more like the rural areas that tend to not have Apple Pay or whatever. So, I
this
wouldn't
was
necessarily
cash.
Yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily thought of Lafayette County as being no cash.
It's Greenwich.
Yeah.
Who knew, David? What did you think of the Ole Miss A&M game? I want to start with, I got to give A&M some credit. I thought in the second half, Bobby Petrino ran circles around Pete Golding, and A&M didn't quit fighting. Down at one point, I thought, all right, come on, A&M, take your NIL check and go home and quit. They didn't have any quit in them.
I don't. I mean, Texas A&M is actually a pretty good 4-loss team. I mean, they're a 4-loss team, but they're one of the better ones out there. If you're going to rank the 4-loss teams, how about this? If you did a power ranking right now of the top 30 teams in the country, not based off resume, but based off of who would beat who if they rolled the football out there, Texas A&M would be a top 30 ranked team in the power rankings. They have a good defense. Max Johnson, he gets hit a lot, but he is a decent quarterback. They've got good skill, and they really gave Ole Miss a run there at the end. I mean, that's the type of game where if you go and play that at College Station, maybe it goes the other way. I mean, and Ole Miss is sitting here now at number 10 with an 8-1 record, but maybe not even significantly better than Texas A&M, and that shows you the difference, how things can turn on a dime in the SEC West. And Arkansas,
you got to be lucky.
You do, and Ole Miss has been to this point. Texas A&M has not been. Arkansas finally got a little bit of luck and beat Florida. They've been living on the wrong end of things this year, but again, I was just impressed with Ole Miss. I think Jackson Dart has low-key become one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. He threw for more yards in that game than he has at any point this season, and it was a Texas A&M defense that is at least decent. They've had some woes in the secondary at times throughout the year, but I thought he made plays. I think when Ole Miss has their weapons fully healthy, and we saw it with Trey Harris, man, he made some amazing catches in this game against Texas A&M. Like when he's fully with it, and with Priestcorn getting close to fully healthy, like it kind of feels like Ole Miss might be starting to peak. I know the second half wasn't perfect, but like they're playing some of their better football at the right time.
I got a column idea for you. The big three. What SEC team has the best big three? Quarterback, tailback, main wide receiver. And with that, I ask you, Dart, Judkins, Harris, are they better than Cook, Schrader, Bolden?
Pretty close. What we saw from Trey Harris on Saturday was Luther Burden level. How about this, though? I think I might go Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Logan Diggs at LSU. And
Strong.
LSU's got their problems, but man, Daniels and Neighbors are really good together, and Diggs is a good back too. That's an interesting question though. The Ole Miss trio is up there because Judkins is starting to get going a little bit. Probably more so a product of the Ole Miss offensive line playing better, but early in the season, the production wasn't quite there from Judkins. But you look up now, and he's been quite a bit more productive as of late, and that's helped Ole Miss tremendously.
David, after all of the talk, Clemson losing at NC State, we've got Tyler from Spartansburg or wherever he was from calling in, asking.
He should get an Emerald Walnut Bowl ring, shouldn't he?
He should get something. But, I mean, calling for asking him why he's making so much money, asking Dabo that, and then they go out and beat 15th-ranked Notre Dame at home. What'd you make of that win?
Yeah, I had Notre Dame straight up in that one. I was surprised. I thought with not only Clemson having such a bad season, but they were down in terms of injuries for that game too, like pretty bad. I mean, they were without a lot of key guys, including Will Shipley. Cade Klubnik had the ankle wrapped quite heavily. They were missing a few of their key defensive players in the front seven. I just thought that was the moment where Clemson folds and they got on the path to 5-7. But that was a good Notre Dame team. This is a good Notre Dame team. It's not a great Notre Dame team, but it's a good Notre Dame team. So that's a great win for Clemson, and it almost felt cathartic. The Dabo rant against Tyler from Spartanburg, it almost felt like a something for the program to rally around.
Yeah.
It almost felt like getting that off of his chest, like got Dabo's heart rate down just a little bit. Although there he was screaming after the game, talking about buy stock now, buy stock now. Yes, in Clemson. But long term, it doesn't really change the reality, which is that Clemson has to adapt. But in the short term, I guess it probably means they're going to get bowl eligible. And that's, honestly, at this point, it didn't look sure. Like that was no sure bet just a few days ago. So big win, good win for Clemson, for Dabo. Long term, we'll see. I'm not convinced that they ever get back to the Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson days.
And Taj Boyd that really started there. It was 3 straight with Boyd, Deshaun, and Trevor Lawrence. David Cobb with us from CPS Sports, and we are going to get to some college basketball. I promise you. I think the next question from Bryant is going to be college basketball.
Probably.
But one last college football question, David. The hit, do you think it was dirty? What do you think of the hit? And I don't think it cost LSU the game, but what did you think of it?
I didn't think it was dirty. In fact, I thought 5-6 years ago that is a clean hit.
I so agree. I don't even think it should have been a penalty.
Right. Growing up, that was not a penalty at all. And then we got the TV crew saying it should be targeting, and I'm thinking, I don't know how that could be targeting. No, it was a clean hit. Jaden Daniels was in the process of releasing the football when Turner began his launch. I mean, I guess where they got him was he drove him into the ground and he landed on top, right? Those are things you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to land with your weight.
But even moved to the side.
He tried.
I mean, he's not an acrobat.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is just football. That's football, and if they want to call it a penalty now, so be it. I mean, I don't think.
Well, they did call it a penalty, but it was not targeting.
They did, yeah. It was a significant penalty because it gave LSU a first down in a key moment. At that point, though, if I'm correct, LSU was already down by 14 points, and Alabama had flipped the tide, no pun intended, pretty significantly. So LSU was going to have to really hustle to win that game. And let's not act as though Garrett Nussmeier is some slouch of a backup. That man would be starting for almost every other program in the league. So I don't think the outcome of that game is any different, and I don't think it's a dirty hit by Alabama.
And LSU never loses, David. They never lose. They either run out of time or the refs cheated them. They never lose.
I know it. And, here's the deal. LSU has got 2 league games left, and they got to win both of them to match their SEC record from last season. I mean, the SEC West is toast. It's over for them. However, if they lose one of these next 2 games, then I think you're going to see a lot of angry LSU fans over the fact that they have actually regressed in year 2 under Brian Kelly, which was not the expectation going into this season when they were getting all the love from myself included to win the division, maybe be a playoff team. It's obviously gone quite a different direction, and everybody wants to talk about how USC is wasting Caleb Williams. Well, LSU might have kind of wasted a significant season from Jaden Daniels this year.
Yeah.
And if A&M beats them Thanksgiving weekend, LSU's going to have 4 losses just like A&M.
That's right. And they ended up with 4 last year too, but they also had the SEC championship game. And so it would be a significant step back. And then now you go into year 3 under Brian Kelly without Jaden. And Nussmeier should be able to handle the job. But boy, they got some issues to fix on that defense. So I do not think that LSU is quite where we just assumed they would be.
Write it down. A year from right now, the fans at LSU are all over BK.
Huh.
Absolutely. I mean, could be. No doubt. I mean, how they close the season, I think, will dictate a lot. They just got to get better on the backside of that defense if they want to have any shot of being a national title contender.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave, let's get to some college basketball. For those who are curious, Georgia just went on an 11-0 run. Blue Kane, the freshman, has 7 points off the bench. It's 32-28. I said this earlier to Brett, and I'm curious how many times I'm going to say it this week and next week. Not with just this player, but just this sentence. inserting any player. Who knew N'Faly Dante was still playing college basketball and was still at Oregon?
Yeah, you're right. There's going to be a lot of that over the next few days. Also, Brian, you seemed a little disappointed about that 9-0 Georgia run.
11-0 there, David.
Yeah, I mean,
we got real American money on it.
4.5. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, you might have a little bit of something invested in that.
Long game, David. Long game.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, with the start of the season, I know, and I saw yours, I can't remember, so I'm going to ask you again. Y'all did y'all's Final Four over at CBS Sports. Who do you have in your Final Four this year?
Yeah, I went a little bit basic because, look at last year's. San Diego State, FAU, Miami, UConn. Of those four, the only one who was in the AP poll to begin the season was San Diego State. Not even UConn was ranked to start last season. Wow. And so it's so unpredictable. But then you go back to 22, it was all blue blood. It was like a cookie-cutter Final Four. So I have Kansas and I have Purdue. Those are the easy choices, right? I guess the two that would be a little bit creative on my end are Arizona and Michigan State.
That's right, it's Arizona.
Yeah, I like Arizona a lot.
Right, and they've been phenomenal under Tommy Lloyd his first 2 years. They just haven't been able to get it going in the NCAA tournament. Maybe this is the third time's the charm they finally break through. And then with Izzo and Michigan State, veteran roster with some really talented young freshmen, which to me feels like the perfect mix. Your vets can carry you to March. Then by then, your top 50 freshmen will be ready to contribute a bit more and help you win some games in the tournament. So I like the Spartans. I like Izzo. Purdue, maybe some people think that's creative because of the fact that they lost in the first round last year. I don't. I mean, they returned the National Player of the Year and a bunch of other really good players from a team that was easily the best in the Big Ten. So that one's not all that creative, I don't think.
And remember how Virginia responded to their number one seed exit. They came back the next year and won it. That's why I have Purdue in my Final Four as well. I've got Arkansas winning it over over Kansas, and Creighton and Purdue in the Final Four. Who needs the NCAA tournament run more, Penny Hardaway or Rick Barnes?
I would go Penny Hardaway. Because, guys, am I right about this? We are in, year 6, year 7?
Year 6.
Year 6, and he's got one win in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, I think Penny needs it to build a little bit of momentum now, because in this league now, without Houston, you want to put your best foot forward when you're in the spotlight. There's fewer spotlight opportunities now without Houston in the conference. They are playing a good non-con. But for Memphis to get that national buzz back, it feels to me like they need to do something in March. I mean, at this point, Tennessee fans have almost resigned themselves to the fact that the Sweet 16 is as far as they're ever going to get under Rick Barnes, sad as that may seem. Memphis, though, I still feel like the fan base expects more than that. I feel like a couple of games with this veteran squad in March is not too big of an ask. Obviously, missing out on DeAndre Williams is going to hurt, but they are still loaded with talent, veteran, and if Penny can get all those pieces working together pretty quickly, this Memphis team could be a top 25 in just a couple of weeks because of the schedule that they play. And then, once you get to that point, the expectation, of course, is that you win in March. And so I think Penny needs a run. I think they need to get to the second weekend of the dance. It's time. Year 6, after everything we were sort of promised on the front end, it's time for the Tigers to make a run.
Speaking of promised on the front end, what national recognized coach needs a big run? Elite 8 or better? Mark Few or John Calipari?
Oh, it's Cal, without a doubt. I mean, if Cal has another one of these 21-11 type of seasons where they are 4 seed at best and maybe like a 6 seed, I mean, that's not going to be okay for much longer with that fan base. Now, they got a buyout they got to figure out, but those Kentucky fans care a lot about their basketball, and it's just not been acceptable this year. Whereas at Gonzaga...
You mean 1 in 15 years is not acceptable?
Yeah, and
the same number Tubby won. The same number
Right,
Joe
how
B.
about
That's why I started calling Cal Joe B. Calipari.
Yikes.
That's fitting because you think about their roster composition in this era too. That's what frightens me about Kentucky this year. So many freshmen playing key roles, and I know they have Antonio Reeves and Trey Mitchell. That helps, but you're talking about 5 freshmen who are likely going to be relied upon for Kentucky this season, and that might have worked in 2012. This is a different era of college basketball now, in which seniors and super seniors and juniors produce the lion's share of your points around the country. And Kentucky's relying on guys who are going to be 4 years older than most of or 4 years younger than most of the guys they're playing against on a night in, night out basis. To me, that's not a trustworthy proposition. So that's why I've got them picked all the way down at 6th in the SEC.
David, I think I'm right on this. Kentucky has not made it to the second weekend since 2019.
Yes, it's been a long time since they've made a run in the dance. We'll say it that way. It's been a long time.
And we had no tournament in 20, to be fair, because of COVID.
Yeah, you're right. It was 19. So they haven't been past the first week in the dance. So when we get to this NCAA tournament at the end of this season that starts today, it gets 5 calendar years since their last Sweet 16. And yeah, he always talks about that COVID team and how UK had a bunch of NBA talent and they were trending up, right? But there was a tournament.
There's 25 teams that claim, well, if it hadn't been for COVID,
right.
we were going to get on a hot streak that year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's a
bogus.
Huge year for Cal. It's a huge year for Cal. I mean, think about basketball in the state of Kentucky in general right now. You got Kentucky that's kind of down by their standard, and then you got Louisville, which is coming off of a loss of Division II Kentucky in an exhibition game.
Yeah.
I mean, basketball is down kind of bad right now in the Bluegrass State, and Kentucky's got the talent to go out there and do something special this season. We just haven't seen it so long that it's almost difficult that it's going to happen because the league is different now than when Calipari was running it back in 2011 or so, because he's got Nate Oates and Eric Musselman and Rick Barnes has got it going, and Bruce Pearl has turned Auburn into a force. And even the middle of the pack in the league is tough now with Chris Jans and Dennis Gates doing good work. And I mean, it won't be long. I guarantee you, it won't be long before Chris Beard starts winning. So that the league is just a lot tougher, and I think that impacts Kentucky the last several years.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think he needs a big year for sure. But, David, I'm so excited college basketball is finally back. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Monday.
All right, guys. I'll get it.
Thank you, David.
David Cobb from CBS Sports. He covers college football and college basketball over at CBS Sports. He joins us every single Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock to talk a little bit of everything. But we're late for a break. Let us grab a quick one, because when we come back, we got to get to our Sissy's Log Cabin, look back at the weekend in the SEC. That's next on Sports Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app, or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg at East Memphis Ace. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ready to cook in only 15 minutes with cook temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between. Change your at-home cooking experience for life with our unmatched, authentic wood-fired grill flavor that has our customers raving. Get your Big Green Egg and all our accessories at East Memphis Ace on the corner of South White Station and Quince Road.
Grind don't stop. Join Jaron Dez and your Memphis Grizzlies this Wednesday at 7 p.m. when they host the Miami Heat for State of Tennessee HBCU Day, presented by Pinnacle Financial Partners. Secure your tickets today by calling 901-888-HOOP or visiting Grizzlies.com.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. People are staring at the fire department that's here on 240 northbound at South Parkway in the Midtown area. They put out a car fire, but it's just got traffic slow now both north and southbound. On 240 again at South Parkway. It's just that time of the afternoon for it to really build southbound all the way down to Norris as traffic increases out here on 240 getting on to 385 Billmores Parkway going outbound. Weimer's Jewelry, they're located 7525 Highway 64. They are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time for a look back at the weekend in the SEC. Brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies with 9,000 square foot in Laurelwood. Let's go inside the SEC with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Chad Kelly in the gun formation. 3rd and inches for Ole Miss.
Carlton will kick it. It is on the way, and it is up.
Buck Bellew looking at it, going to pitch it to Herschel Walker, try to get him outside. He's going to get 5.
The snap is high. Kelly grabs it, wants to throw, fires it up in the air. Treadwell can't get it.
It is good! Oh, my!
Get it. Deflection is caught. Deflection is caught. And down the sidelines is Adebayo. He's to the end zone. He's in there. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
He's got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. He needs a block. There goes Herschel. There goes Herschel.
And you can wrap this one in maroon and white, my friends.
Arkansas is headed to Atlanta. The national champion is clad in big orange.
Next weekend, just about the entire league plays at 11 o'clock. A lot of 11 o'clockers next week. But this last Saturday, there were a couple 11 o'clockers. Yeah. It started with Tennessee playing UConn 59-3. Big Orange, 650 yards total offense for Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava got in his first significant college playing time. 5 of 9, 86 yards, got a touchdown pass in this one. Jimmy Moore Jr. with the drive-by handshake. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I saw that. A lot of people
what was he so sore
about? I don't know. Maybe that they only scored 3 points and gave up so many. But
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the SEC, I guess. But no, I was really happy to see Nico get some time in there, get some reps, and get that touchdown.
I don't think Tennessee ran it up. They scored on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they played everybody that dressed. I don't know what Moore is so upset about.
Yeah,
Arkansas.
2 pick sixes in that game?
Yeah. Arkansas, 39-36 in overtime at the Swamp. Not the D.C. Swamp, but the one in Gainesville. First win ever in Gainesville. Florida had a 6-game home winning streak. Tennessee, you should feel even worse about that performance you had in September with Arkansas reeling, and they go in and really control the game most of the day. I don't know how it got as close as it did. Rocket Sanders, 103. KJ Jefferson, 255 in the air, 92 on the ground. 481 yards for Arkansas over Florida after 200 total against Mississippi State.
Yeah, it was an impressive performance for Arkansas. I mean, both teams really got after it early, both scoring 14 in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, what they did, Rocket Sanders back in there, over 100 yards for him. I thought KJ Jefferson had a really, really good game. So, I mean, they needed that win bad, and they got it. A huge win on the road, and now I'm seeing a lot of people turning on this Florida team, and now 5-4 Florida.
Turning on Napier.
Turning on Napier, and now this 5-4 Florida team, 3 games remaining, Missouri, LSU, and Florida State. It's going to be hard for them to get bowl eligible.
I think for Florida fans, I know it's all going to come down on Napier. When does it come down on Scott Strickland?
That's a good question.
He's hired all these coaches that hadn't worked at Florida, at the Mighty Gators, at the Swamp, and there's one common denominator in all the hires, and it's been the AD hiring them. I know he's a nice guy, but I know he had big shoes to fill coming in behind Jeremy Foley. He just simply hadn't gotten it done.
No.
You could even say in basketball that he hadn't.
Yeah, you could. I mean, we'll see what happens this year, but you're right. Not super great first years for either, and now we're seeing year 2 in football, and it's 5-4, and it looks like likely we'll miss out on a bowl. It's crazy.
I failed to mention next week Tennessee at Mizzou, and that's the CBS game in Columbia next Saturday. Next week, Arkansas at home against Auburn, and the Gators at LSU. And Arkansas wasn't much different Saturday in that game than they were in a lot of those games, State notwithstanding. Just got a few of the breaks Saturday.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how narrow this thing is.
100%. And that Arkansas-Auburn game will be really interesting next week.
If we replayed this whole year, there could be a lot of things different. South Carolina 38-28 over Jacksonville State. Gamecocks versus Gamecocks. Is there a state with 2 bigger tools than South Carolina as the Fed coaches, Dabo and Little Shane?
No, I don't think so. I think they've got it.
Seriously, if you went around the country and picked the 2 big, now, like in Nebraska, there's really not a second one. In Missouri, there's really not a second one. But Matt Campbell and Ferentz aren't like that.
No.
Butch Jones and Sam Pittman aren't like that. Arnett and Lane aren't like that. Saban and Freeze aren't like that. They got them in South Carolina, don't they?
No, they've got it, and they can keep it in South Carolina because I don't want it.
No kidding. Spencer Rattler, 399 passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 rushing. South Carolina, they get the win over Jacksonville State, and Jacksonville State really stayed in that game. Next week, South Carolina at home against Vanderbilt in Columbia, South Carolina. The last 11 o'clock game Saturday. It started at 11. It felt like it ended about 10 minutes ago. Ole Miss 38-35 in the Pack Your Nitroglycerin tablets this year at Vaught Hemingway. I don't remember, now that it's over, in the middle of it was wild and crazy. I don't remember a more fun home year. Even the opener with 73 and Trey Harris with a glimpse of what he showed he could do. Then 48 points against a pretty good Georgia Tech team and Haynes King. And then those last-second games are down to the last drive. LSU, Arkansas, and Saturday against Texas A&M. Jackson Dart, 387, 0 turnovers, 2 touchdowns, passing Quinshon Judkins, 102, 3 touchdowns. Trey Harris, 11 catches, 213 yards, and a touchdown, and the best catch he made all day didn't count out of the back of the north end zone. That was better than the one-hand OBJ catch.
That was an unbelievable catch. Unbelievable game for Trey Harris, even though that one didn't count. Like you said, 213 yards and a touchdown on 11 receptions is incredible. His longest was 40 in that game. And Jackson Dart, I mean, I continue to say it. I mean, he just continues to improve and just continues to look really good. We talked about this being that first game of this November stretch for Ole Miss. What would they do in a really tough test against a defensive line, a defense in Texas A&M that, Brett, both of us have been talking a lot about this year and just how physical they are against opposing offenses. But Jackson Dart looked really, really good, I thought, in that game. And then on the other side, another loss for Texas A&M, 5-4 this season, and it's just just not looking great for them this year. I mean, every year we come in going, all right, this is going to be the year Jimbo does it. This is going to be the year that they are just a really, really good team. And it seems like we're back to where we've been these past couple of years of just a okay Texas A&M team.
I think they're closer than LSU.
Really?
I think they're closer to having it, and it's why I don't think there would be a change unless it just really collapsed. They lost at home this Saturday to Mississippi State, and then went to LSU and lost 45-10, something like that. It's going to be around $100 million for Jimbo Fisher, for the staff, for the NIL guarantees. Somebody's got to cut the check for $100 million, and then you've got to hire a new staff. A&M fought. They would not go away this week. They host Mississippi State at home, and Ole Miss goes to Georgia. Give me the number of turnovers in the next. It's really 2 games. It's Georgia and Mississippi State for Ole Miss. Louisiana Monroe is not part of the calculus. Give me the number of turnovers for Jackson Dart. I'll tell you what Ole Miss will do in those games. Start just any number you want to grab.
Okay, 2 games. Jackson Dart
dogs and
turnovers. Dogs and dogs. 2.
They definitely, if both are against Georgia, they lose to Georgia. If it's 1 against Georgia and 1 against State, could lose both. I hate to do this, somebody, but he's got to be perfect with the ball. It's got to be 0.
But Brett, I mean, he's been pretty darn good. What's his only 4 interceptions this year for Jackson Dart?
Yeah, and very few fumbles. That team, Lane Kiffin's teams do not fumble. Georgia. No. They won 30-21 over Mizzou. Carson Beck, 254, 2 touchdowns, and a big man interception.
Yeah.
Mizzou outrushed Georgia, but 2 turnovers killed them. Any upset hope, it went away with that. Cook, Schrader, Burden, good. The Ole Miss big three's got to be great.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, when you've got Brady Cook throwing for over 200 yards, now those 2 interceptions were definitely killer. Cody Schrader, 112 yards and a touchdown on the ground. I thought Georgia's defense did a really good job of keeping Luther Burden in check, only 53 yards, only 3 catches for him in that game against Georgia. And for Georgia, I've been really, really impressed what they've been able to do, even though they don't have Brock Bowers, because it seemed like they were almost getting into this kind of groove of we're just going to force feed Brock Bowers every game. And so I was curious what they would do.
They got McConkey back too.
And that's been huge for them. They've really been going to him.
Need a little more from Ra Thomas.
Absolutely. But Loud McConkey led the team with 7 catches yesterday, and that was massive for them.
This week, Tennessee goes to Mizzou, and Ole Miss goes to Georgia. Auburn, 31-15 at Vandy, 230 yards rushing for Auburn as a team. And Jarquez Hunter, he's found it. It's what people had been waiting on for him all of his college career. 183, Vandy, only 100 yards rushing. It was mostly Auburn. This week, Auburn at Fayetteville and Vandy at South Carolina.
Yeah, and I think the run game is what Auburn really wants to do this year. I don't know how much faith Hugh Freeze has in either of the quarterbacks he has right now to really win a game with their arm. And so if you can give me Peyton Thorne, 194 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you can run the ball like they did. Now, you're not going to be able to run the ball like they did against every team in the SEC, but I think that's what they want to do with their offense at Auburn. So I thought a great game, like you said, Jarquez Hunter, a exceptional game from him. So a good win for Auburn.
Kentucky 24-3 over Mississippi State, only 73 yards rushing for State. They've scored 23 points in the last 3 games. Ray Davis, 21 carries for 80 yards for Kentucky. Kentucky just really were able to grind out a win.
No, they absolutely were. And it's just been tough for Mississippi State with Will Rogers out and Mike Wright in there. And others. Yeah, they have I've had a lot of
good
injuries.
Running back out.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just been tough for them. And Mike Wright, I think, has done an okay job. It was able to get that win, just kind of grind out that win a couple weeks ago against Arkansas. But, it's just really hard for this offense right now. And so 3 points, it's going to be tough, but I thought a good win for Kentucky. That makes them bowl eligible.
It does. Kentucky at home at Kroger Field this week against Bama, and Mississippi State on the road at A&M. Bama 42-28 with the eyes of the football world on that game Saturday night, broadcast by CBS. They win at Bryant-Denny Stadium as loud as I've ever heard it watching a game on TV. And it used to could be sleepy. It could be sleepy sometimes in the Saban years, not Saturday night. Jaden Daniels was great. He may be the best player in college football. Hey, I think he is the best player in the SEC, and he was sadly injured on a really tough hit. 4 touchdowns rushing for Jalen Milroe. The LSU defense, pure slop. It has been all year. 507 total yards offense for Bama, and that was the 202nd SEC win for Nick Saban at Bama. He trails Bear Bryant now by 22. Bear won 224 SEC games at Bama. That's the most ever.
Yeah, and you talk about these quarterbacks, both quarterbacks, what they were able to do running the ball. Jaden Daniels, 163 yards and a touchdown on 11 carries. Jalen Milroe, 155 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns on 20 carries was incredible to watch. But you mentioned LSU and that defense. It's really been what's gotten them this year. I mean, you look at these losses, 42 against Alabama, 55 against Ole Miss, 45 against Florida State, that game against Missouri that they just barely won in the last couple of minutes, 39 points. I mean, this defense against good offenses really, really struggles. And so, 3 games left for LSU, at Florida and Texas A&M, Georgia State also in there. It'll be interesting to see what this defense can do in these last 3.
It will be this week. LSU at home in Baton Rouge against Florida, and Bama, as I said, they go to Lexington. That's our look back at the SEC weekend. Brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies and the Tigers, and supporters of both, and we appreciate them being with us. The new location opening soon. We're going to visit with the Sissy's people on Thursday. They're at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones and his great team here to stay with the Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, wedding bands, earrings, necklaces for that special moment, that special time of year. They have it. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and much, much more. Sissy's offers a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts since 1970 with 6 locations across the Mid-South. Official jeweler for the Grizzlies and FedEx Forum with floor seat lounge, and supporters of Tigers athletics. You'll see a lot of that signage tonight at basketball. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to The Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started The Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making The Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. Be sure to schedule your delivery for the next game at hogsfly.com or come visit us in the alley.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-251-2305. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-251-2305 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-251-2305 to see if you qualify. That's 800-251-2305.
Genesis Diamond's first ever 3-day store-wide sale is this weekend. 3 days of mind-blowing savings, up to 35% off. Earrings, bracelets, bands, pendants, plus thousands of engagement rings, all on sale. Designer jewelry has been flown in from New York and California for this. Certified diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, and luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Don't miss the biggest and best store-wide event all year. Save 20, 30, even 35%. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. And only at Genesis Diamond. Poplar and Perkins Extended. See store for details.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know: Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswangerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Whether it's date night, a birthday, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris. Open in the Regalia Shopping Center at the corner of Poplar and Ridgeway. Treat yourself to one of our classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection. Then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Memphis. This is how celebrating more is done.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I'm going to go to the NFL for my big number today. Coming from the game last night between the Bengals and the Bills, my big number today is going to be 4. Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals is the second quarterback in NFL history to complete at least 75% of his passes with a minimum of 150 attempts while throwing for 10-plus touchdowns over a 4-game span. I said he's the second to do it. The other quarterback to ever do that was Peyton Manning during his 2013 MVP season. So the rest of the season might be very bright for Joe Burrow.
And they're doing it again. They are locked in and going to be dangerous down the rest of the NFL schedule. My big number is $21,791. $21,791. That's what A&M pays Jimbo Fisher every single day, and they have since December 4th, 2017, and they still owe him $78,325,000.
That's incredible. I mean, what a contract.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
I don't know what to say.
Oh, man.
I can't imagine $78 million.
But I can't imagine $1 million.
I can kind of imagine $21,000 a day, though.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, it'd be great.
Wouldn't it?
It'd solve a lot of problems. I mean,
now, I don't think they make a change unless something really comes apart.
Yeah.
Because the coaching pool is really thin right now. Let's go over some potential leagues and names.
Okay.
All right. Willie Fritz, fine man, fine coach.
Sure.
Would that do it for A&M?
No.
Rhett Lashley?
No.
Jeff Traylor at Texas San Antonio, they could sell that, and I think he has some Aggie roots, either went to school there or coached there.
It'd take a lot to sell, I think.
Tom Herman at FAU.
No.
You can go out and hire a guy that went 4 and 5?
No.
Mike Elko. Great job he's done at Duke. But he's 6 and 3.
Yeah.
And I think he would turn down some places.
I think so, too. I think he's very happy at Duke.
Dave Doran at NC State.
No. You're right. I mean, there's just not many. I mean, and all of the. I mean, we remember when Jimbo was hired at Texas A&M, and just all of the excitement. And look at this resume, and what he's going to do here at Texas A&M. And so, I think it would take a lot to make a hire people would be happy with.
We're over our PJ Fleck fascination.
Yeah, PJ Fleck. Yeah, that's in the past.
Okay, the coach at Liberty.
Okay, Jamie Chadwell. It'd take a lot to sell, I think.
It's a really thin market.
Very, very thin. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I haven't really.
It could save Napier. It could save Zach Arnett.
It really could. And for Billy Napier, another thing that's going to save him is the recruiting class he has. I mean, you can always, for a lot of these guys, you can always, at least this early in their career, you can always turn back to, point back and say, oh, well, look, here in a couple of years, look at these guys. I mean, right now for this upcoming recruiting class, the 2024 recruiting class, he has the number 3 overall recruiting class. So if that can stay intact, I think he's got a great opportunity to say, okay, I know it didn't work out this year, but look at this class we're bringing in. Think about what we can do next year and the year after that.
Here's one that if Napier was out, keep an eye on this coach, and especially his background. As a student there, they said it was just shy of stalking Steve Spurrier for Spurrier to hire him as a manager, as a student manager, just to hang around.
Okay.
Jed Fish at Arizona.
Oh, that's a good one.
They said that he would leave notes on. He would tape them to his front windshield that when he got in the car he couldn't pull off without. And that cuts in one or two ways. You either go, quit bothering me, I'm calling campus police, or okay, I'm gonna give you a job.
Wow.
And he got the latter.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's a good name. I mean, what Arizona's done, especially this season, with kind of some of the situations they've had. I mean, playing backup quarterbacks and all of that, and winning games. It's been really, really incredible. I'll throw another big number your way. How about this? The Grizzlies finally got their first win of the season last night against the Portland Trailblazers. So now 1-6 on the season.
And for a long time in that game, it didn't feel like they were going to break through.
Which interesting, because it seemed like Friday night, watching that game on Friday, the in-season tournament game against Portland, that game seemed like a game that they would win. And then at the end, Portland comes back and wins it. Last night, it seemed the opposite. It looked like Portland was going to run away at any point with that game last night, and then the Grizzlies late in that one come back and win. So two complete opposite games, I think, up in Portland.
Get back home against Miami on Wednesday and Utah on Friday.
Yeah, so at least get that first one, and maybe they can relax a little bit, got the first one out of the way. It's been a rough start of the season, and they can just focus on basketball and get some more wins. But speaking of the Grizzlies, let's go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk Grizzlies with the Michael Cole.
Here at Memphis Barbecue Supply, we have everything you need for your Thanksgiving feast. If you're smoking, deep frying, or putting that turkey in the oven, we got over 20 different turkey injections and brines to keep your meat juicy and moist, with brine bags and buckets, and 308 different rubs and sauces to choose from. If you're in need of fuel, Memphis Barbecue Supply carries 9 different types of wood chip, chunk, mini logs, and logs of wood, and over 4 tons of wood pellets in stock. And don't worry, we also carry thermometers, injectors, and all other sorts of gadgets that you might need to simplify your cook. And for any questions that you might have, our knowledgeable staff is always eager to help. Memphis Barbecue Supply is located at 7041 Stage Road in Memphis, or you can order online at mbbqsupply.com. Follow us on all the social media platforms for recipes, new products, and barbecue news.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey sports fans, this is Ultimate Vegas Insider John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Monday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line. Call 1-800-244-5506. Tonight, I love this matchup. Los Angeles, New York is a monster. Side and total, Los Angeles, New York. Critical information confirmed, plus Thursday's early release and hoops action. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to go 5-0 free on recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports. Number 1 against the spread. Los Angeles, New York is huge. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want the information? I've got it. 5 big plays. Call 1-800-244-5506. I love to go 5-0 to the season free. That's 1-800-244-5506 or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They were clearing up that earlier car fire on 240 northbound near South Parkway. It's just that time of day for it to get heavy southbound. Coming out of Midtown on 240 south from, let's say, South Parkway all the way down to Norris as you continue south of Memphis on 55. That's still moving down through DeSoto County. Hey, you can get rid of that old junk car right now by calling Memphis for Junk Cars. That telephone number is area code 901, of course, 258-8999. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Oh, yeah. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time with Bryant and Brett in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some Grizzlies, the Grizzly beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, DeMichael Cole, joins us now. DeMichael, thanks so much for joining us. In the Grizzlies, after last night, they finally have a win in the win column. 1-6 now as they come back to Memphis. Is there kind of sort of they finally got that one off and they finally have a win and maybe playing a little tense, maybe they can relax a little as they come back home for these next couple games?
I think so. I think that's a good way of putting it. You finally get that one. Before you can get 2, before you can get 3, before you can get 40, before you can get 50, you got to get 1. And it took them a while, but we'll see where they go from here because it's 2 ways it could have happened in my mind. And, from their perspective, you kind of got Luke Kennard finally to have a big game. Bismack Biyombo got his first start. He showed some things. We know Dez and Jaren have kind of been playing well, I think, for over the full course of the season so far. So you're starting to see kind of what the recipe looks like for them to have success. And I think that kind of can ease things from Taylor Jenkins' perspective as well because, just watching the Grizzlies, it's not just, the players. I wouldn't say that there hasn't been structure in terms of the rotations and things like that, but it's early in the season for everyone. You can tell Taylor Jenkins has just been all over the place trying to figure out who can, really help this team get those wins.
DeMichael, if nothing else, to get that win to kind of change the conversation a little bit. Now, it'll really change if they could win Wednesday night or take both of these this week at home at FedEx Forum. On defense, will Biyombo help Jaren?
I think so. And it's kind of, the way Jaren Jackson Jr. plays is when he's at his best, the Grizzlies have him kind of roaming around in a freestyling type way, and it allows him to get a lot of those help side blocks. He can cover up for a lot of the guard mistakes when guys are beat off the dribble and things like that. But in order for that to work, you have to have a rim protector on the back end. Xavier Tillman, I think, has done a fine job from the ability of holding guys below their regular field goal percentage numbers around the rim. But with Biyombo, what you get is more defensive playmaking. So I think, with your question, will he help Jaren? I think yes, but at the same time, I think that Xavier Tillman and Steven Adams also help Jaren from that perspective of all 3 of those guys can kind of play solid defense, around the rim. But the difference with Biyombo is the fact that the defensive playmaking potential. Steven Adams was I think a really good rim protector, but he wasn't, known as a shot blocker. Same thing with Xavier Tillman Sr. Solid rim protector in terms of holding guys below their normal field goal percentage numbers, but he's not known as a shot blocker like Jaren. The Grizzlies' offense, when it's at its best, they get into that second gear. Second gear is basically them getting out in transition, and for them to be able to do that, you're getting rebounds, you're creating steals, you're creating blocks, creating turnovers. So now you got another guy who's one of the best shot blockers in the NBA to go along with Jaren, along with Marcus Smart being one of the top guys right now in the league in steals per game. And now you have more defensive playmakers. So it helps Jaren, but I think it helps the offense probably a little bit more.
Luke Kennard, his 3rd game back last night after that concussion, and shot the ball much better, 4 for 6 from 3 last night, finished with 15 points off the bench. What did you make of his performance last night?
It's about time, right?
Yeah.
It's about time. He's been struggling so much in the game, so it's weird, guys, because I'm telling you, when I go to these practices, it's just like the ball ain't touching the rim when Luke Kennard is shooting it. But then you go into the games, it's like, what's going on? Especially when he came back from, the time off, and the struggles kind of continued a little bit. But just like the team, it looks like he got that one, and you can tell, even with one of the shots that he missed, it felt like, he was feeling good. It looked like he was feeling good. He shot it, but heat check, dropped his arms real fast. So I think he's in a good spot. But I've said, a lot, for the Grizzlies to be at their best, I think he has to be one of those microwave 6-man type players. I think yesterday's game was a perfect example of that. When I say microwave 6-man type guy, 15 points off the bench is what he gave him yesterday. But it's not just that. It's that instant when he gets in the game, he can change a game. He was plus 30. That was the highest on the team. And he played 32 minutes. So most of the great 6-man in the NBA, they come off the bench, but they finish the game in the lineup. They don't start. They're not in the starting lineup, but they're in the closing lineup. And we saw him, be a big part of that 26-3 run to end the game.
DeMichael Cole with us from the Commercial Appeal on all things Grizzlies. He's on the beat covering the Grizzlies for the Commercial Appeal. 1-6, so 18 to go without Ja. How much is this 1-6 start on Ja Morant?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you talk about just the basketball side of it, it's a decent amount that's on him for sure, because you're missing your primary ball handler, which has led to this adjustment phase with Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose and all these guys. Whereas if you had Ja in the lineup, you have a little bit more continuity, and you wouldn't be replacing as much. We know the scoring potential, and I'm looking at the jumps that Dez and Jaren have taken. Like I don't think it is as simple as they're being put in different roles because Ja is out. You can see the growth in Desmond's game for sure. You can see the growth in Jaren Jackson Jr.'s game. So it looks like, I mean, the Grizzlies could be one of those teams where, I mean, they probably don't all average 20-plus points per game this season because, the volume will go down a little bit, especially for Jaren. But those three guys on the floor together could be really dangerous and hard for opponents to stop. So this 25-game stretch without Ja is really going to hurt the team from the standpoint of when we look back at the standing, and if the Grizzlies are 2 games outside of the 6th spot, or they're 2 games away from the 3 seed, and now they got to be the 4 seed and potentially, match up against someone like the Nuggets in the first round as the 1 seed, or whatever the case may be. It's always going to be that case where, man, if we had Ja for those games, we could have put ourselves in a better position. So I think it's fair, to put, some of that on Ja for sure.
I knew it was going to be a lot. I didn't realize until the double whammy with Steve Adams just how far or how deep the hole can get dug in this 25. And I'm not hitting any panic buttons yet, but I may be searching for the circuit board to try to find the panic button, because you can't afford to fall too far behind. Not in this West.
This is the stretch right here, Brett. I think this is it. Because we're about to find out what they're made of. You got the 1 win, right? And if you go back and they're sinking in losses again, then look, it might be time to start looking at who are the top draft picks, in next year's class. But this is the gut check moment. It's super early and all that stuff. But I keep telling people, you can say it's early, but at the same time, you're in the Western Conference. Like Golden State looks good.
Early Dallas can get late real fast.
Yes, Dallas looks good. Like, Dallas was a team that I didn't even have in my top 8. And they look good. We'll see what happens to the Pelicans without, C.J. McCollum, however long he's out there. But the Nuggets look good. The Suns, they're saying that they're going to get Bradley Beal and Devin Booker back within the next week. So they're probably going to be playing really good ball around that time. So it's like, you got to get going. And right now, you got 2 games against the Heat and Jazz. The Heat, they are the Miami Heat, but they are struggling right now. You get the Jazz at home. I think that's a very winnable game. Then you go on the road for 3 games. 3 tough games at the Clippers, at the Lakers, at the Spurs. But look, man, I mean, if the Grizzlies are the team that people want them to be, you need to try to take 2 out of those 3, because when you get back from playing San Antonio, you get the Boston Celtics, currently undefeated team, at home on the second night of a back-to-back. Yeah. And it doesn't get much easier after that. Like, I mean, you get the Suns, the Timberwolves, and the Jazz again after that. So it's a tough schedule, because you gotta beat the good teams now. Like, you put yourself in a tough position. Losses to the Blazers, the Jazz, the Wizards. You should at least try to win 2 out of 3 when you have those type of games. But at the same time, this is gut check time. These Heat and Jazz games, you want to win those, especially before you go on the road. So like the Clippers, they're going to be a few games in potentially with James Harden at that point. The Lakers, and then you get the Spurs, who shown improvement with Victor Wembanyama before you get the Boston Celtics. So this is a big stretch. This stretch is going to tell us, I think, everything we need to know.
DeMichael, I said earlier, way back, about 2 hours ago, I fear that there are more 6-game losing streaks ahead than there are 6-game winning streaks.
That schedule's tough. I mean, the way I look at it right now is Dez and Jaren are going to be really good for you. But teams are zeroing in on Desmond Bain, but there will be teams with better top elite defenders that I don't think the Grizzlies have seen that many of them yet. You know, when you play the Boston Celtics, they're going to throw Derek White, Drew Holiday, those type guys at him. You know, Jaren Jackson Jr., they're going to throw Victor Wembanyama against them. We've seen Anthony Davis have success, you know, against him. The Clippers are going to throw Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Like, granted, these other teams have been, you know, putting their top, but like the Mavs, it was like Derrick Jones Jr. Like, he's solid, but, you know, it's a step below. Same thing with the Utah Jazz, Portland Trailblazers. You know, Denver is fine on that end, but Contavious Caldwell-Pope doesn't scare me like any of those names that I just mentioned. Herb Jones was a good one, you know, for the first game of the season. But the point is, I don't think, you know, Desmond Bain has seen many of those elite perimeter guys that will really kind of hunt your top scorer. And that's only to say that, to get back to your point about the win streaks and losing streaks, I think the answer to that question is, if a team can limit Desmond Bain, are you confident enough that Luke Kennard, that Marcus Smart, that on any night that Desmond Bain has an off night, one of those guys will give you at least 18 points, possibly even 20. And if you're confident in that, then you're more confident in the potential of a 6-game win streak. But if you say, I don't think so, then, you know, I mean, I think the losing streak is the more likely option. But you got to try to tread water until Ja gets back, because, again, Ja, when he gets back, now you move, you know, that top defender off of this and onto Ja, and Ja is, you know, shown that he can have success against top defenders, against top, you know, defensive teams. So you just need that you need that insurance for Desmond Bain. I think even more for him than Jaren Jackson Jr., because he's probably their best offensive threat right now.
DeMichael, Derrick Rose has been on the injury list since I think last Tuesday or Wednesday. So for most of this week, obviously, it gives you a lot of depth at point guard, especially with John Morant out. What have you heard about this injury, and how long do you think we're looking for Derrick Rose to be out?
I think we should know more on Wednesday for sure on Derrick Rose. I haven't heard too much lately. Just, you know, we should expect an update this week, and we'll see kind of where he is at that point.
Going back to Bismack Biyombo, obviously the Grizzlies had to wait 5 games that John Morant was out to be able to add Bismack Biyombo to the roster. And so after these 25 games, the Grizzlies are going to have to make a decision, and someone is going to be off of this roster. What do you think about that decision? Do you think this is just Bismack, we're adding you until this 25-game stint is over, or do you think we could see somebody else being removed from this roster?
Yeah, I said it from the jump. I mean, it's a trial period for Bismack Biyombo, but it's a trial period for a whole bunch of other guys too. I think, you know, if he's giving you, you know, eight points and it doesn't even have to be 11 boards. I mean, he's giving you 8 points, 9 boards, 2 blocks.
Yeah, and
it's translating to success. Like in yesterday's game where he was plus 18.
Oh yeah.
Why would you take him off the roster? I mean, look. I, like a lot of people, think that Kenneth Lofton Jr. can be a productive NBA player, but I, like a lot of people, are not on the Grizzlies coaching staff. And what I will say in that thing is what really caught my eye was there were a lot of, well, not a lot because they've only played, you know, 7 games at this point, but there were a few games this season so far where Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson Jr. were your power forward and your center in the starting lineup, and they basically staggered for pretty much majority, if not all of the game, the minutes at center. That's very rare that a team will basically say, we'd rather play our power forward and our starting center over the course of 44 to 48 minutes of the game at center rather than using the one backup center that we have left on the roster. I mean, I don't think there's, you can say, oh, we believe in this guy and all that, but at the end of the day, if you're down to pretty much one center in your rotation and you still don't play a guy, that's a little scary to me. You know, I feel like there's no way around it. I feel like if you don't think that, then you're probably in denial, because this was the time where I thought, and many others thought that, oh, this is the perfect chance for Kenneth Lofton Jr. to kind of show what he can do at this level. But it's kind of been similar to the past where we've only seen him, you know, in small bursts. You know, we saw him score 12 points couple games ago. I think the game against the Jazz, the blowout game, we saw him score, I think, 12 points in that game. We saw him get a little bit of run in this last game, and it was good for a little bit of that stretch. I think he had a couple blocks, assists, rebounds, points. Like he was good, but it just feels like they don't trust him. And being that his contract is probably the easiest to move. I know some people are, like to do John Conchar or possibly like a Jake LaRavia or something like that. But the Grizzlies also just exercised Jake LaRavia's contract for the season. So there's going to be some money left on the table if you do that. John Conchar, he just got extended last summer, this 2 summers ago. So he's on a new contract this season. So it's a lot of money that will be left on the table in those cases. And it kind of feels like, Lofton would probably be the most expendable.
Lofton had 12 last Wednesday night, I think, out at Utah. DeMichael, in that Utah game and Friday night in Portland, and even last night in the Win, there were some combinations out there that were hard to believe they were logging that many minutes.
Yeah, I think that's where it is. And that's why I said Taylor Jenkins has just been he's filling things out, right? All these different lineup combinations, different guys. I think I was talking to Marcus Smart, a few days before they left, and he was like, man, guys are playing roles that they probably didn't even envision themselves playing at this point in time. And it's early, so there's a lot of adjustments going on. I mean, we saw David Roddy play the small ball 4 role, I think, in like one preseason game, with rotation guys. And then all of a sudden, he's kind of playing that role for the entirety of the season up to this point because, they haven't had Santi Aldama or they haven't had, Xavier Tillman in his last game or whatever the case may be. So, guys are playing different roles and whatnot. But I feel like the Bismack Biyombo signing, having Xavier Tillman potentially return, now and Santi Aldama back, now you're going to be back to your 4 guys that you got, your 2 guys at power forward, your 2 guys at center, and that'll kind of solidify some things. Now you play two guys at small forward. You can play Dez and Luke, and then you got Marcus Smart, and however you want to handle the point guard position that Derrick Rose gets back. So you got options for sure, but I think they can get to a point after this week where they have stability in that rotation.
When you go see Taylor pregame Wednesday night, boy, and DeMichael, we know this. 2 weeks can make a world of difference in sports. It really does feel different than the hopeful glee of opening night, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, because it's a shock to the system. I mean, 0-6 after you go get Marcus Smart to replace Dylan Brooks, right? And just I think Marcus Smart has played pretty good. I don't think he's been bad by any means. He's turned the ball over a little bit, but I think he's shooting well. He's made some nice passes, in stretches. He's playing on the ball, off the ball, and he looks, effective in either situation. So I'm like, yeah, you get these guys, and I mean, Steven Adams gets hurt, he's out for the season, and then you don't have Santi Aldama. Yeah. Luke Kennard gets hurt first game.
It can turn on you.
Yeah, it turned really fast, and even at that point, you thought, well, it's the Grizzlies, right? They won 50-plus games last 2 years. Sure, they can go on this little West Coast trip against teams that aren't even projected to make the play-in and get 2 out of 3. And then they lose the first 2, get blown out, and then blow a lead late. So it's like, man, it's definitely a shock to the system. But, we were talking about it, a few days ago, and some of the players, it's on their mind. Things like, the Lakers were a team last season. Started 2 of 10, right?
Yeah.
We've seen several other seasons where teams get off the slow starts. I know I was talking to a player, and we were talking about how Golden State, I think it was 2016, they lost opening night to the Spurs. Spurs beat them up real good, and maybe it was 2017, but 2017, I think it was. They lost to the Spurs, then they lost to the Cavaliers on Christmas, and then they go to the playoffs, and they just obliterate everyone in the playoffs. Like, it wasn't even close. So it's like, you be careful with overreacting to these things because you know that there's a process that has to play out.
Yeah. DeMichael, last thing for you. Grizzlies back at home in action Wednesday night against the Heat. This Heat team, another team that's kind of struggled early, 2-4, both their wins coming at home. What do you expect from this one on Wednesday night?
I think this is a very winnable game. You know, the Heat are in a similar position to the Grizzlies where they're figuring a lot of things out. You know, they don't have Max Strus anymore. They don't have Gabe Vincent anymore. Josh Richardson was one of their free agent signings that they kind of expected, you know, a lot for, and he's been, you know, out of the lineup. So it's like they're in a similar position where they're trying to figure out rotations and things like that and who plays well with who. Tyler Hero's playing really good for them. But Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler. But I think that's a very winnable game. You know, Bam Adebayo, it'll be fun to see, you know, Bam Adebayo against, you know, that Grizzlies front court with, you know, Biyombo and Jaren Jackson Jr. So I think it's a very winnable game for the Grizzlies. And, again, this is a game, honestly, you better win it before you go to that West Coast trip. And then you get the Celtics right after that.
Even with this rough start, I would rather play Miami now than in late March.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to get a Eric Spoelstra coach team around that time.
He'll be ready at playoff time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it should be a fun one Wednesday night, DeMichael. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do this again next Monday.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Thanks, DeMichael.
Thank you. Thank you so much, DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal, and a really good update of where we are with the Grizzlies and how it's changed in these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Brian, if around town, those win numbers, season and the 25 without Ja, they've really changed.
No, they've changed drastically. I mean, I remember coming in here both. I mean, when we were doing our preseason, just full season, and way long time ago when we were doing our first 25, and we went back to it right before the season, and we were saying, okay, I think you could, you know, have a winning record after that 25 games.
13-12.
Yeah, and now that just looks I mean, it would be a miracle if that was to happen. So, I mean, it's rough. I mean, 1-6, I don't think any team wants to look up and see 1-6 as their record through 7 games. But, you know, like I said to start off with DeMichael, maybe they just need to get that first win, you know, playing real tight, just trying to get that first win. And maybe once you get that, maybe you can start playing more relaxed in your style of basketball. And maybe some of those wins can start, building up a little.
I had 13-12 without Ja. I had 44 total, 7 seed. I'd take that right now and not play another day on it.
Yeah, I would as well, because that's just, I mean, it's a hole they're in right now. 1-6, it's a big hole, and, you know, a couple games at home will definitely help.
It sure will. Our title sponsor of this hour, it's the great people at Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. You've got to make the trip and see everything decorated for the holiday season, and even more to come. But it is just a perfect scene in Collierville. Charles Hall, he started working there in his teens, and now with his wife Laura, they own the place, known for all the boots, but also accessories, clothing, and a cap for any team for any season. Western wear, safety toe boots, soft toe boots, rubber boots, work boots. They have them for every occasion at Hewlett Dunn, but they have so much more than that. From head to toe, they've got you covered with every brand imaginable. Anderson Bean, Dan Post, Ariat, whether for men or for women. At the men's and women's clothing, they have the jeans, they have the pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find. And I know at Christmas time, at the holiday season, it's the jacket buying time of the year. They've got the jackets. Charles and Laura Hall, they invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com, but they're on the square in Collierville and want you to come by and say hello. Boot care products, sunglasses, hats, and every area team snapback cool hat you can think of. Mississippi State, Tennessee, the Tigers, Ole Miss, the Razorbacks, and for for travel season, they've got a travel bag selection that is top notch. HewlettDunn.com, but please visit, stop by, say hello at 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett & Dunn.
Well, Brett, it's Monday, so we've got Monday Night Football tonight, Chargers and Jets. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll have our Ruth's Chris Monday Night Football pick and preview. Also, our big 4 quarterbacks combined for the Jets and Chargers. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
As you know, the holiday season is fast approaching, and as you also probably know, 117 Prime, Memphis' premier dining destination, now has its menu available for takeout. Now, far be it from us to ever suggest that somebody could, theoretically, order a full dinner from 117 Prime and then pass it off as their own cooking at a holiday meal. We all agree that doing so would be unethical. It would be just plain wrong. But think about how much effort you could save by having 117 Prime make dinner, and then you get to reap all the rewards. Again, it would be wrong.
Genesis Diamond's first ever 3-day store-wide sale is this weekend. 3 days of mind-blowing savings, up to 35% off. Earrings, bracelets, bands, pendants, plus thousands of engagement rings, all on sale. Designer jewelry has been flown in from New York and California for this. Certified diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, and luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Don't miss the biggest and best store-wide event all year. Save 20, 30, even 35%. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. And only at Genesis Diamond. Poplar and Perkins Extended. See store for details.
When building the 2023 RDX, we decided to raise our standards. That means a 272 horsepower VTEC turbo engine, standard. Acura Watch advanced safety and driver assistance technology. Yep, standard. Alexa built in, also standard. The 2023 RDX, raise your standards. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Visit Acura of Memphis to learn more about the Acura RDX.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South sports station.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We're watching them move a wreck over to the side. It's a spot where they normally crash in the mornings on Billmore Parkway 385 coming westbound right at Kirby. It's got traffic pretty slow in that area now coming in from Collierville on Billmore Parkway. Still trying to clean up this car fire we had earlier in Midtown. It's causing delays on 240 north and southbound there at South Parkway. It happened over in the northbound lanes, but it's got it slow now in both directions there in Midtown on 240 at South Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry located 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Welcome aboard. ABC's Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football in the Big Apple. Jets and Chargers, okay, when they made the schedule way back when, they were kind of factoring in somebody else being there tonight. Had a great conversation Saturday in Oxford with Phil Savage, the director of college scouting for the Jets, and I asked him, and I was being serious. I said, y'all drafting all offensive linemen? He goes, no. He goes, I know. I think that's what everybody's expecting us to do. But right now, he said, organizationally, top to bottom, we just want to get talented. We want more players.
Interesting.
And he didn't say it, but I think they were really keeping an eye on a lot of the A&M defensive players, defensive line, because that coach of the Jets, we know he can coach defense. And if you can keep in games with Zach Wilson, if you got Aaron Rodgers back or you got better at quarterback, you're going to be in good shape in the future for the Jets.
Oh, absolutely. And that I mean, they've been winning games. I mean, they're 4-3 right now, and I think 4-3 is much better than
Pretty
I think
inspired.
a lot of people. Oh yeah, I think if you had told people in Week 9 the Jets would be 4-3, I think a lot of people would say you're crazy after the start of the season and that Aaron Rodgers injury and a couple of those games after that. But they've been playing good. They've been playing inspired, and so yeah, I mean, I think they've got a good shot tonight at home.
And he said Aaron Rodgers, even before the injury, you just can't imagine the great teammate and presence that he's been, and even with the injury, how he's been around, that he's helping, Zach Wilson, and he didn't say this, but Zach Wilson needs help.
Yeah, he needs an
quarterback mismatch tonight.
I mean, you're right, but Brett,
but isn't it every week with Herbert?
Yeah,
a lot of weeks with Herbert.
It really is. I mean, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the game.
But is he becoming the new Phillip Rivers?
That's
a lot of fantasy football numbers.
Sure.
Very little winning. He's 28-29 as a starter in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, but how much? And again, how much of that is on the team as a whole, and how much of that is on their head coach and some of the decisions that he makes?
When I think there are a lot of people that think he could be out at the end of the year, and Harbaugh's name will be in the middle of that.
Sure.
Somebody quarterback-oriented will be in that.
Certainly. I mean, because you got a great one there. And
with Lincoln Riley across town. Remember when he was going to be the Cowboys coach?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I think it's going to be some wild names around the Chargers if it opens, because what everybody thinks they can build with. Over the weekend, I was 4-2 in the NFL. Throw a party. You were 2-4.
Yikes! Don't. Throw
I was 4-2 in college. You were 3-3, but you got there straight up with the Kansas Jayhawks over Iowa State. So I made up some ground. Tonight's pick: Chargers -3.5 on the road against the Jets. I'm taking the Chargers.
I'm going to go the opposite way, and I'm going to go with the New York Jets. Like you said, they're playing inspired football. 3.5-point dog at home. I like him here. I'll take the Jets.
Have you seen enough of Tyler Badgett with the Bears? It really hurts you. You were getting getting how many in that game? 8.5?
8.5. Got there. Just barely.
They got there.
Just barely.
Right? I had you down as a loss when that was a win.
Oh no, that was a win. Yeah, just barely. They.
Well, you got to correct me. You were 3-3.
I'm sorry. I didn't know the exact numbers. Yeah, they only lost by 7. Should have lost by 3 touchdowns. But only lost by a touchdown. No, I mean the turnovers are a killer for him. But he is very composed in the pocket for 90% of the game.
How strong is his arm?
It's not super strong, but he completes the ball.
He gets the ball out, though.
He does. He gets the ball out and usually completes it. If he doesn't complete it, it's an interception. Not too many incomplete passes. I don't know. I mean, I think what could be the best thing for him is getting out of Chicago somehow and finding an organization that has a stable quarterback, maybe a quarterback that's getting over there.
Fields back this week, right?
Yes, should be back this week. and maybe like sit for a couple of years, take everything in, learn, and then maybe one day could be a starter. I mean, this is the guy that has the passing record for Division II football. I mean, this guy's no joke. I think just needs to get into the right situation.
And if his dad throws you in a headlock, it's over.
Oh man, that's another reason I don't want to say anything bad. They might track me down, and
sure
that's
could.
not a family I want to mess with.
Tonight, Monday Night Football, the place to watch it is at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. For any occasion, treat yourself to one of the classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection, then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Trust us on the temperature and trust us on a great time at Ruth's Chris Memphis in Regalia, with plenty of safe free parking, and for your holiday get-together, it's time to book it now. That's the place to have the fun. You can hear the sizzles now. It's how celebrating and enjoying Monday Night Football should be done, whether it's date night, after a big win, or just because. Raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Memphis in the Regalia Shopping Center, open for lunch on Sunday, happy hour Monday through Thursday, 4 to 6, and Sunday, 3:30 to 6. Most hospitable steakhouse in town. Ruth's gift cards for the holidays. They're available. They're always available, but it's a good gift for anybody. Kevin Johnson, General Manager, Jared Wells, his executive chef, and they want everyone to know about the holiday plans. You need to start planning now for your perfect event. Patented boiling method. Hear the sizzles and enjoy Monday Night Football on all the TVs. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation and celebrate the right way at Ruth's Chris Memphis. All right, Big Four all-time, combine them, Jets and Chargers.
All right, I'm going to start at number 4 and work my way up. Number 4, I got Phillip Rivers from the Chargers. I mean, I got to throw him a bone, get him in there in the top 4. Wow, really? Number 3, I've got Dan Fouts from also the Chargers. So,
I got him too.
Whoa, wow, I'm interested in your list now. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers makes number 2.
He's thrown one pass, Brian. We've been through this.
Well, Brett, he's worn the uniform. That's all I needed to see.
You had him in your Jets Big Four on the first Monday night before he threw the one pass.
Brett, if I recall correctly, I think I had him number 1 in my Big Four to start the season. But that was before he threw a pass. Then he got injured, so he drops down a spot because of the injury.
He has as many completions with the Jets as me and you and Johnny combined.
That's correct. But because of the injury,
Johnny, help me out with Brian. With Aaron Rodgers.
Well, look, Brett, I hate to knock a guy for an injury, but I had to today drop him down a spot to 2. Number 1, Joe Namath.
All right, my number 1 is Joe Namath. Number 2, Dan Fouts. 3, Phillip Rivers. 4, Justin Herbert.
Oh, wow. Justin Herbert
He's
in there. Wow.
I mean, Stan Humphries took the Chargers to a Super Bowl. Vinny Testaverde had good play with the Jets.
He did.
And Mark Sanchez as well. But they're not better. Neither one of them are better than Herbert.
Wow. That's I like that. I like that a lot. I struggle on these. I guess not. I shouldn't say that because I have Aaron Rodgers on my list. But a lot of times when I'm thinking of top 4 quarterbacks, last year when we did different types of positions and stuff, I always forget about the current players. I always want to go back to the past players and the past great quarterbacks. I usually never think about the current players.
You know, if you're going to have Aaron Rodgers in there with 1 pass thrown and 0 completions.
We have Zach Wilson in here, Brett.
Now, this guy played for the Chargers. He wasn't any good. It was at the end, and he had nothing left.
Okay.
But Johnny Unitas was with the Chargers.
That is true. That is true. I could have had him. Could have Brett Favre on my list for the Jets.
We sure could have.
Could have Brett Favre.
That was a year to forget.
I almost threw you for one, and when I was talking about Aaron Rodgers being number 2 and I had to move him down, I almost told you that I had Brett Favre at number 1, but then
Geno Smith?
Against it.
Chad Pennington?
No. Chad Pennington more, I think, than Geno.
Stan Humphries did go to the Super Bowl with the Chargers, and I say it every time I bring up that Super Bowl run for the Chargers. Bobby Ross wins a national championship at Georgia Tech and takes the Chargers to a Super Bowl.
Incredible.
You don't think that guy could coach?
No, that's incredible. That really is. But no, 2 good Big Fours, I think.
Tonight you're headed downtown to FedEx Forum for the Tigers and Jackson State, and then Friday night Tigers and Tigers in Columbia. Grizzlies back home on Wednesday night, and again on Friday night. All the college basketball going. How are you looking in your Oregon game?
Be honest, Brett. A little peek behind the curtain. My iPad died, so I have no idea what the score is. I'm in the dark right now.
You don't have a charger?
I think we're pretty good. Well, the way the spot I have my iPad set up, there's no real good place to plug it in, so it's just sitting there dead now. I've been looking at it for like.
What's that get you?
Yeah, nothing. I'm looking really good right now.
79-68 Ducks over Dogs.
Yeah, we're looking really good right now. About a minute left in that game. Minute 7. I think
Georgia,
we're good.
Inbounds as we speak.
Okay, well,
corner 3. Nothing but net.
Oh, no. Oh,
not
Brett.
Not good for you, Brett.
Not good for me. Okay, well, I'm panicking now.
Yeah, you should.
I should.
Up 8. Here come the fouls.
Oh, gee. Well, that's good. I mean, the fouls help. We have a -4.5, so we're feeling. It was an alt line. The regular line was, I think, 6.5 when tip-off happened. So we took an alt line, bet it down a little bit. And so I think I still feel comfortable at 4.5 right now.
I'm trying to find the last tip time tonight. I think it's
10:30.
UCLA.
Sure is.
Is that it?
10:30 UCLA and St.
Francis,
Pennsylvania.
PA.
There you go. Yeah, another 10:30 game. Washington Bellarmine is also a 10:30 tip. So
we don't sit and watch all those, do we?
Depends. Depends. Maybe. If I can find them. If I can find someone to watch them. Problem is one of these games is going to be on
USC
Pac-12.
at 9 o'clock.
I'll stay up for that one. Boogie. Well, the Boogie show's back, Brett.
Your guy, Boogie.
My guy, Boogie. Our guy, Boogie, Brett.
Yeah.
I mean, we
like
love
our Cowboys.
Boogie.
No, your Cowboys.
Yeah,
they're your Cowboys this week.
After that loss, they're my Cowboys. Thanks, Brett. I see how it is. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Here at Memphis Barbecue Supply, we have everything you need for your Thanksgiving feast. If you're smoking, deep frying, or putting that turkey in the oven, we got over 20 different turkey injections and brines to keep your meat juicy and moist, with brine bags and buckets, and 308 different rubs and sauces to choose from. If you're in need of fuel, Memphis Barbecue Supply carries 9 different types of wood chip, chunk, mini logs, and logs of wood, and over 4 tons of wood pellets in stock. And don't worry, we also carry thermometers, injectors, and all other sorts of gadgets that you might need to simplify your cook. And for any questions that you might have, our knowledgeable staff is always eager to help. Memphis Barbecue Supply is located at 7041 Stage Road in Memphis, or you can order online at mbbqsupply.com. Follow us on all the social media platforms for recipes, new products, and barbecue news.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
How long has it been since you heard the term being overstocked? Well, it's happened at Family Leisure. Yep, That means you get the savings, like select patio sets that are up to 50% off. If you need a play gym, you're in luck because they're also overstocked and start at under $2,000. Pool tables and game room items up to $700 off of in-stock items. Saunas, massage chairs, arcades, even theater seating. Special financing is available with free delivery. Family Leisure is extending sale pricing on all in-stock hot tubs and swim spas. And if you need supplies to close up your pool for the winter, Family Leisure has them up to 30% off. It's been a while since you've heard of an overstock sale, but Family Leisure is right in the middle of one. Huge deals and a huge overstocked inventory. That means great savings for you. It's happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot & Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Baby, here I am, I'm a man on the scene. I can give you what you want, but you got to come home with me. I've got some good old loving and I got some more in store. When I get through throwing it over, you got.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The Double Steak Grilled Cheese Burrito. So good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The Double Steak Grilled Cheese Burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, both what I learned and what I could have done without are both going to be college basketball centric. With the season starting tonight, I learned a couple of things. I've learned Oregon put Georgia away 82-71. So personally,
21 rebounds.
Win in the book. Yeah, and Folly Dante, who I was shocked that he was still at school there, had 21 rebounds for Oregon and 16 points. An unbelievable game for him. But what I also learned today is that, Zach Edey, Brett, is a big individual. He is a massive human being. I learned that Samford obviously had no intention of winning the tip-off tonight in their game against Purdue because at the center circle, to do the opening tip-off to start the season for Purdue and Samford. 7'4" Zach Edey and 5'8" Dallas Graziani, their point guard. What a mismatch. That's for sure. That's hilarious to see.
Did anybody really jump?
No, Zach Edey kind of jumped a little bit just to get his feet off the ground. Dallas tried his best, but was nowhere close. There are pictures going around on Twitter right now about it's hilarious.
I learned Ole Miss is a very fortunate 8-1, but sometimes you need some good luck. Good teams win close games. And of the 6 home games this year in Oxford, 3 have been just ball in the air, really at the buzzer, with the opponent a chance to win or tie. LSU, Arkansas, and A&M were wild games and fun wins. As fun a home schedule as I can ever remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I learned today, USC fired their defensive coordinator, Alex Grinch, yesterday. That defense has just been so bad this year. I say this all the time, I hate when coaches lose their job, especially middle of the season, but just really poor performance from those USC defenses. What I could have done without is that Missouri will be down a man. And I guess I shouldn't say I could have done without the fact that Missouri's going to be down a man when the Tigers play them this weekend. But it's the player that's going to be out, because I wanted nothing more, Brett, than to see Connor Vanover, a former Memphis commit, play against the Tigers. Former everyone. He's been around. If there was a college basketball, what was those grids that everyone played?
Grid.
Immaculate Grid. If there was a college basketball Immaculate Grid, Connor Vanover would be all over the place. But Connor Vanover is going to miss the first 3 games as a suspension because of his participation in the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament last April. The Portsmouth Invitational Tournament is a tournament for graduating players, for them to have an extra opportunity to play in front of NBA scouts. And because of this, because he participated in that, meant that he had no more eligibility. Well, after that, he was able to get another year of eligibility and go to Missouri. So I hate this rule that he's not going to be able to play. He's going to miss 3 games. But I also hate that Connor Vanover is not going to be able to play the Tigers.
The NCAA, they just watch after the big stuff, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
I could have done without this. Remember when Coach Prime was the neatest thing ever? Going to revolutionize coaching. He's now 4-5 with games remaining at home against Arizona, at Washington State, and at Utah. 1-2 maybe. Jerry Palm, a guest on these airwaves with Greg and Eli, he doesn't even have them in his bowl projections. We keep receipts too, Coach Prime.
Oh, yeah.
No bowl after a 3-0 start.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, I remember before the season, everyone saying there's no way they get anywhere close to a bowl. They might not even get over their win total. And then after those first 3 games, everyone was saying, oh, wow, a bowl looks very, very realistic. And just once that conference play started, really, really tough for Colorado. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to the Big Apple in MetLife Stadium. Was supposed to be Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Herbert. Instead, it's Zach Wilson for the 4-3 Jets against the 3-4 Chargers and Justin Herbert. We all love Herbert, but again, he's 28-29, 107 touchdown passes, all that ability, but he's a lot like Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers was a lot like Dan Fouts. They didn't win anything real big.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Beam me, let me skip the traffic. Beam me down to FedEx Forum tonight for the Tigers.
You got to get in
opener.
That traffic.
I got to get in just in a couple of minutes, actually. But beam me down there, and then right when that game's over, right after the Tigers have won their first game of the season, beam me out to Las Vegas, Nevada for Kansas State versus USC late tonight, 9 o'clock. That game on TNT.
Boogie Mania.
That's right, Boogie
12
Ellis.
NBA games tonight, undefeated Boston at the T-Wolves. Late in Denver, Pelicans 4-2 against the champs, 6-1. And Victor Wembanyama in Indianapolis tonight for the Spurs at the Pacers. 3-3 Spurs, 3-3 Pacers. Break out the red, white, and blue basketball. That's for right. 2 old ABA teams.
It's going to be a great night of games, like you said, NBA, NFL, college basketball underway, hockey also in there. So a lot to watch tonight. Enjoy all of it. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
It's time for the holidays.